everybody, and welcome to an episode of Someone Has Shit in Peachy's Pants. Was it him?
Yeah, did that go through?
It
Is that
didn't
gonna
go
be the
through.
start of the video?
It didn't, unfortunately. No.
Damn it!
You were still muted, but welcome everyone to episode 29 of the Fully Rendered Podcast, where we talk about games, movies, TV shows, anime, whatever. There's great many things, and we have quite the stacked agenda for you today. Hopefully we can get through it all, because it's all pretty interesting. So, before we begin, Pope, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am tired from playing so much of An Arrest of the Wicked. It's very addicting. I did like 2 12-hour streams, and
I'm looking forward to hear you talk about it, actually.
It's a
I've
good
been
game.
playing a lot of Sekiro myself.
Yeah,
There's irony there, right?
how
You're
so?
tired and you've been playing.
Oh,
No
the
Rest for the
name,
Wicked.
No Rest for the Wicked. He's tired.
True. I
Well
are
played.
wicked. Like a
He's only
bottle.
played about 3
You're
hours
wicked.
of it. He's just wicked.
Just wicked me.
Just wicked smart.
But Peachy, how are you doing?
I'm shit. Fuck everything. No, I'm good, thanks.
Oh no, what's wrong? Do I need to fight someone?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good.
I'm good.
Made.
I got plastic coming on Monday.
All the plastic.
I pre-ordered a thing from the Games Workshop.
Oh,
And that should be here Monday.
What did you
excited for
pre-order?
that. The Kill Team Nightmare box,
okay. And is that like just
which is
men?
70 odd quid. It is men, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's all men in this one.
Right.
I'm trying to think because it's
Foreshadowing for later.
Anyway, yeah, that's I just want the Night Lords, but they come in a £70 box. But I have a friend who's like, oh, I want those other things. And I'm like, simpatico. Let's make a deal.
Nice. Sometime, at some point, probably drop me a message and I might be able to get a discount via my brother-in-law because he works for Games Workshop. So I can buy 20-50% discount me or whatever it is. I think it varies depending on what you're buying. So
Yeah, it depends. I don't always shop around for the best price. Sometimes I shop around for the best service.
Mm-hmm.
Because my local game store is more expensive than the cheapest place I can go.
right.
But also it's a fantastic store and the staff are awesome and everything is there. You know, it's an experience thing. They have a cafe there. Like, oh, I'm a bit tired from buying all this paint. I'm going to have a cup of coffee.
Nice. Well, we'll jump into the first subject. I think this is one that I will let Pulp take over, at least for a segment of it, because it features...
Just the first segment of it.
Yeah, because there's a particular game that's on it that you seem to be quite stoked about.
Yeah, Vampire Survivors. They announced. Let me pull up actually the article or the update notes because
What's the initiative?
Okay,
Pardon me?
so before we go into it then, I'll explain. So there was a thing that occurred. So you occasionally you get like, you have the Guerrilla Collective that happens around Key 3 or G3 or E3, whatever you want to call it, depending on how much you like Jeff Keighley. So you got the Guerrilla Collective. They've got a new one which is now called Triple I, which I think is a stupid name. Personally,
Is so cringe, right?
It is.
It is so cringe.
why?
I'll explain why I think it's cringe. So, indie.
No, why is it just eyes?
So, I'll explain. So, indie, obviously, as a genre, is very ambiguous, not just in games, but literally in everything ever. Because definitively, it is when someone is self-publishing, be it in music, be it in games, movie, etc. But in the game space, and even in the music space, it's just become the name of a genre rather than of the process. So you have games like Baldur's Gate 3, which is technically indie, but it's a gargantuan $1 million company. You've got Dave the Diver, which is indie, but it's published via Nexon, and it's indie because it's pixel art, basically, but it's recognized as indie. Then you've got Devolver Digital games, which are published through Devolver Digital, a publisher, so therefore not technically indie. So you've got this wide variety of these indie games, so they're trying to label them. So games that have high quality but are still indie and still small are getting triple I in much the same way that there is triple A. But do you know what there is as well? There's double A. There's already a category for these games that exists. But I get it, because like indie is also a marketing thing now. Indie used to be very like, oh, it's indie,
So-
I don't care. Whereas now, oh, it's indie, and you
I have
kind
a
of market it.
question.
Go on.
I have a dumb question then.
No, go.
Does that mean the triple I is like triple I for indie instead of triple A?
For whatever the A stands for. Yes, that's basically the play
That's
on
what
words.
it is.
Yeah.
As soon as you started mentioning it, I was like, that's not what it is. That's very dumb, you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
I also have
100%.
another problem on top of absolutely agreeing with everything Brian just said is Vampire Survivors is now a triple I, but it was made by a dude.
One man. Yeah, literally one person.
man.
That is the definition.
It's
Yeah,
now a
and I did
team,
pull
I
up
imagine, but still.
And
That is an
and I did pull
indie
up
game, and now
notes
like
for it.
it's not even useful as a label anymore.
Yeah, true. But
It's
yeah,
like, what was the thingy? The girl with mental health issues that just murdered demons. Oh, what was that game called?
I don't know, there's
and
a
it-
few.
It was,
That's quite a description.
there was like a Nordic vibe.
Oh, Senua's.
Hell- Yeah,
Oh, Senua's
Hellblade.
Hellblade.
Hellblade. Yeah, like if they call games like that triple I because it's got a lot of production value going on there.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see the difference between a smaller team making this and some dude making a game and getting a publisher. I can see
Yeah,
the difference
actually-
between that.
Yeah,
but
because
it
like
feels not helpful as a label.
because Vampire Survivors is incredibly high. It's very high quality, but yeah, it's not as big of a studio behind it. It's just one dude. It's kind
Yeah.
of like Stardew Valley. It's just one dude.
Yeah,
It's a big, massive game, and it's widely recognized as a great indie game, but it's still not. There's not a huge team behind it. There's not a lot of production value behind it. Not value as in like quality, but more just like there's not as many people working on it, and there's not so much high fidelity like
Yeah.
so the label fails on every level.
Yeah.
It's
so
silly.
indie basically
It's
doesn't really mean
First
anything
of all,
anymore.
Most importantly, the term is cringe.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very cringe.
Yeah. So the triple I
And
initiative.
the worst thing in the world that you can do is be cringe.
Exactly, 100%. But yeah, so to summarize, triple I is a like a showcase of indie games, quotes for audio listeners, that happened 3-4 days ago, maybe a week ago, and Vampire Survivors was one of the games that was showcased in this announcement that was made.
Yes, and Vampire Survivors is coming out with the Operation Guns DLC on May 9th, and I had to like hop in the Discord to tell them about this because I'm really stoked because they're working with the Contra team. And it's a pretty big update too. 22 new weapons, 11 new characters, and obviously like the music and everything. And from what I understand, it's also coming to either Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah, it's coming to
So
PlayStation, which is
Vampire
a big
Survivors is
deal.
also going to be coming to PlayStation the same. I think it just says it's in summer, but it's a huge update and it looks great.
It does. Obviously, it's a big deal that it's coming to PlayStation because it was on Game Pass for a while, but never on PlayStation. It's coming to both PlayStation 4
I think a
and
lot
5.
of things are coming to PlayStation too.
Yeah, that in itself is a
Is the
conversation.
PlayStation 5 going to be able to play this mobile port?
Oh, I don't know. You might have to wait until we get
By the way,
PlayStation 5 Pro.
It's banging on mobile.
It is.
It's actually really
it's-
good on mobile.
Dude, what's crazy about it, because I have it on mobile too, and it's free. It's free on the mobile. And what like so, yeah.
Sorry, continue, Paul. He's just being silly.
I know. No. But yeah, I remember I picked it up for the iPhone and I saw it was free, and it's wonderful. I played it so much on Steam, so it's kind of just like now I have it extra, like just like an extra copy on my phone when I'm out and about and I need something to do while I'm in a waiting room.
I have it on mobile, but I don't have a controller or anything. So, and obviously I've got my big foldy phone, so it's like basically playing on tablet for me. But so touch screen is a bit for me, but if you've got like a regular phone that you can fit like those controller adapters to, I imagine it's quite a nice
What about like
experience.
stylus for you?
I do have a stylus, but it might be a bit weird. It could work.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I
mean,
might give it a
it's
go.
just directional. The game's just so
True.
easy to pick up and
'cause
play.
you don't have to like they've removed the need to push other buttons.
When
You
when I
just
when I
direct
was in a
yourself
cast,
onto it.
Brian, I was playing it constantly because I wasn't really playing too many games when I had a cast on my arm, but because I think there was like Death Must Die or something like that. There was a
I think that one
few
looks
others
sick. By the way, Death Must Die. I think it looks really,
I
really
have
good.
it. It's pretty. I don't know where it is, but I have that. I played a lot of Darkest Dungeon, but Vampire Survivors easy as hell to play because I could just sit there and I'm and I played with my left hand anyway using the WASD.
Yeah, I played a fair bit of it on PC. I always went with the garlic as well.
The garlic's
is
great.
good.
Yeah.
When that's upgraded, that's like.
But there's
I'm
so
just
much
stand
cool
here for a
stuff
bit.
to actually discover. Like I have so many characters in it, and apparently they're bringing out a new large stage and a bonus stage. I'm excited for like oddly because the music in the games are great. Like it's just so reminiscent of like Castlevania, and they're gonna do more like Contra, the inspired stuff. Like everything just looks so silly.
One of the
Do you know
reasons.
what I'm most looking forward to?
Go on.
Is the new enemies, because I love the enemies in that game. I never give a shit about bestiaries, but I've read every single one of every enemy I've unlocked in the game because there's just so many and they're so interesting. I don't know.
It's gonna be cool just having guns, and obviously it's very fitting that they're literally calling it Operation Guns or whatever. It's just like we've added guns, and everyone's like, yeah.
Well, because like before I even read it, I just looked because I went straight for the trailer. I was like, ooh, a new update because I think they've had a few pretty big updates too. And I think this DLC is gonna be retailing for like $2 $2 or $3.
Yeah, that's usually the case. Yeah, it's about
nothing. Yeah, it's $2.49. Sorry. $2.49 American.
What?
So
rip off.
Rip off.
How dare they?
I said $2. I lied.
We'll let you off.
When I was looking at the trailer, I'm like, dude, this looks like Contra. It's like Castlevania meets Contra. And then I saw in it that they worked with the team, and I'm like, sold.
One of the reasons that it's quite good as well, and this may be news to you, you may already know, is the guy who made the game used to work for a casino company, so he knows.
That's why there's shit all over the screen giving you constant.
Oh my god, dude, that makes so much sense. The
dopamine is all casino theory driven. Like, yep, that's how he managed to do it.
The later levels before the death comes along, and you're grabbing all those chests, and like if you've got a high lucky stat, it does get a bit much. It's like I didn't do anything.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Because now knowing that he worked in casinos, that makes so much sense.
Yep. So he knows exactly what tickles your pickle, what triggers that dopamine, and he managed to compile it all into a game without actually making you gamble, but it gives you the same hit, and that's why it was so damn good. Oh my
god, it works so well because I'm not much of a gambler myself. I've been to Vegas, and the game sounds like a slot machine.
Don't stream it. It will destroy your bit rate.
Yeah, it does. It does massively.
I did a test in the middle of my stream, and then I checked the replay. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it just becomes a pixelated mess because and obviously it turns you into a pixelated mess. So you're in the game as one of the enemies, and then the garlic gets you, and you never stream again. But it's also, like, as a slight tangent, it's also one of the reasons why Raid Shadow Legends does so well, because that's owned by a casino. So again,
they owned by a fucking casino.
That actually, well, a lot of like gacha in general is very casino-esque.
Yes, it is.
Like that's all it is. Like I know there's like the pachinko machines in Japan. I've never played them, so I don't know how they work. But a lot of games of chance, like they it banks on you like riding that high. So when it comes to gacha, if you have like that first pull of like if it's because I was just playing the Nier game, it's almost done. Like at the end of service, like in a week and a half, I think. So I haven't been playing it. But when I was playing it, there would be times where I'm like, fuck, I was so close to getting one.
Yep. That's how they get you.
You ride that high.
But speaking of a game that kind of has a Castlevania aesthetic and then working with Capcom devs, we've now got V Rising, who is doing a crossover with Capcom devs for a Castlevania crossover. So if you weren't familiar,
naturally was gonna happen.
Yeah, so it looks good as well.
Like too much of it.
What, V Rising or
I had it You
Right.
know what it was? I didn't know what to expect from it, so I was like not super stoked on it, but I'd have to give the game another try because
Right.
I knew like when it came out, like my husband was playing a lot of my friends were playing it.
Hmm. Well, I used to play Battle Right, which was a game made previously. So it's got like the whole like skill shot MOBA-esque combat, but it was more of an arena team deathmatch kind of thing. Then they made a battle royale version of that. The combat felt great. It didn't really pick up as much steam as Battle Right did, though, because like it was the whole tail end of the battle royale fad, as it were. But then they started making V Rising and then implementing that really cool combat system into a survival game, and I was like, "Ooh, you've piqued my interest." And apparently, it's piqued a lot of people's interest because they went from being a relatively small and not well-known developer to suddenly having this really dominant game in the survival genre and doing big deals with Castlevania crossovers and such. And I think it looks really sick. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm looking at the footage. That's why I keep looking over there. It looks very, very nice.
Yeah, I think it's got.
He's fighting Simon Belmont.
Yeah. So it's got one of the
I see
Belmonts
some
at least.
Simon Belmont right there. That's my boy.
Yeah, I think it's got Alucard and I think someone else. I can't recall the exact details, but yeah, they're doing a.
I do have a
looks
question
good.
though.
Go on.
What is a man but a miserable pile of secrets?
I'm assuming that's a Castlevania reference, and I never played the original games.
Oh,
It's
Forgive me.
interesting because like I just picked up what was it? It was Dead Cells, and they did
Yes.
a collaboration with Castlevania. Have they been doing a lot of collabs
Dead
with
Cells
Konami?
is a Castlevania game.
Yeah,
It's
no,
Castlevania.
well, no, because I like I mentioned it before, like when I'm a big sucker for Metroidvanias, like entirely. And Dead Cells was the one that I had been like I'd been keeping my eye on, but I was waiting for it to go on sale because I've had too many.
The more modern Castlevania games stray away from that Metroidvania style. The first one's good. The second one's not as
There was another
good.
one that was pretty interesting. It's not current, but was Bloodstained.
Yeah.
Was pretty decent Castlevania.
Like Bloodstained 2. I can't remember if that's out or coming out, but there's.
Oh, is there another one? I just had the first one.
Yeah, they've gone double down on like the art style and stuff.
I haven't
That's
played V Rising for a while because my problem was there wasn't enough content.
Yeah.
There's some content.
Yeah,
and it's content
it's
that I
quite
enjoy.
a bit. The release, I think the full
this
release
looks
is
good.
August. It's soon. The full release is very like
good.
1.0 is very very soon.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna wait because I'm like I'm just gonna go and it's not gonna be finished. And I'm gonna be like, oh, I just want to,
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm of a similar mindset. I very rarely indulge in early access nowadays compared to how much I would have in the past, and it's mostly because I don't like getting burnt out on the game before it's released.
Yeah,
like even with Last Epoch, I would only touch Last Epoch like maybe once or twice a year until very very close up to release, where I got caught up on some of the new content because I knew there'd be a lot of stuff to learn in time for making content, etc. And then it released. Likewise with No Rest of the Wicked, I probably won't be playing it loads and loads and loads because it's an early access title, because I don't want to get burnt out on just the beginning of the game and then not be bothered when it comes out on full release. And I've done the same with V Rising. As soon as that comes out, I'll actually be doing a proper full dive into it. So maybe we can build a base together, young Peachy.
No, I'm gonna need you to play. No, you don't have to play the first one. But you need to play the Game Boy one.
What,
You need to play
Castlevania?
Simon's Quest.
Okay.
And you need to play Castlevania X.
Okay. I might be able to do the Game Boy one because I still have my Game Boy, my original one, with the magnifying glass with the lamp built into it and everything. The battery pack. I've got all that shit. And Pokemon Blue and Yellow.
The Handy Boy.
I can't remember.
There was a peripheral to strap onto your Game Boy called the Handy Boy.
Yeah, I don't
Not even a smirk when they sold that.
think it was called that.
I had one, and it had speakers that folded out like that to give you the full stereo treatment.
Right.
Because they had stereo sound, it's just the original one just only had the one speaker.
Well, I'll quickly hunt it down because it's only over there. But in the meantime, I will show you the trailer for Mouse, which I believe, Peachy, you were looking at. So do you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah.
That was also at the AAA initiative.
So, I like me a boomer shooter. And I hadn't heard of this.
Yeah.
This.
Oh my God, this looks great. I just looked at the footage.
So this isn't coming out till next year. So like this is, we can't take what we're seeing as this is it. But
Yeah.
I worry when games go heavy on style, I worry that they go style over substance, and
Like it might be a little bit basic at the end.
the gunplay doesn't look very exciting, but again, this is probably old footage. The game isn't out for next year. The art style and like the 3D textures and the way it works together isn't quite right. There's something off, but that is something you can finesse over time, right? So, I mean, it looks cool. I really like that vibe. Like that's the only reason I picked up that platformer shooter game. Oh, what was that? It was a really difficult platformer, side scroller. I can't remember the name of that game, but I like the style. Hey, there it is.
Yeah, it's
that is not the Handy Boy. The Handy
yeah.
Boy is a lot bigger. I'm gonna have to show you the Handy Boy.
Yeah, it's just the light magic.
I think my brother had one of those.
And then the battery pack.
It's like a magnifier. What was the name of that?
It's called the light magic, and then it had
the light magic.
2 lights built into it, and it took batteries as well. So it won't work right now.
Oh yeah, everything took batteries.
2 AA batteries, and you'd be in the car and you'd be like, yeah. And then if the battery ran out, you'd be by the window traveling at night going, lamps, I need more lamps, because you couldn't see anything. Street lamps, to be clear.
Like what my brother and I used to do is we'd sit in the back seat and just completely piss off my mom, holding our Game Boys up like that for the headlights in the back behind my mom's car.
Yeah, 100%. I also have the Super 235 Games in 1 cartridge, which was actually about 12 games, and then it just repeated them with different names. But it had like Super Mario 1, 2, Tetris.
Pretty cool, actually.
A couple of other things.
I have just shared with you two in general the Handy Boy.
The Handy
Made
Boy.
by STD.
Oh my God.
I had that.
Made by STD.
You have that?
I also have.
Yeah.
So you're a handy boy.
Apparently. That looks ridiculous.
Fully loaded,
right?
too.
That looks insane, and who would use that? Well, they made the Booster Boy, which is even bigger.
Oh my God. It's so ugly.
The Handy Boy was kind of cool, though. It
The
did
Handy Boy looks
destroy your batteries. You needed spare batteries for that one.
Was the thumbstick and the buttons actually better, or did it just feel really squishy because it's buttons on buttons?
It felt a little weird.
Yeah.
I do remember taking that off and playing with the normal one. But the speakers were banging because, like, yeah, it's the Game Boy is capable of stereo. So when you have your headphones in,
and a little carry case as well.
But it only has one speaker. You put those in, proper stereo sound. You got the magnifier, and it lit the screen as well. So it was a really useful thing. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
utterly ridiculous.
You're like carrying your Game Boy around in 12 AAA batteries. And you're just like, what are they for? And you're like, to have a good time. What do you think? But that was there was Mouse. So there was also
Mouse looks great. I just wishlisted it. It looks pretty interesting.
There was also the official announcement for Slay the Spire 2. The reason I say official is because you may recall we discussed previously that when Unity was shitting its pants and making mistakes and bad choices, that Slay the Spire devs were like, screw you guys, we're not going to use Unity for Slay the Spire 2 anymore, in a like big text on JPEG background thing. And now they've officially announced it, and they have indeed moved to a new engine. So it's now being built in Godot, and what the hell? And it looks good. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you're into your deck builder style games, and I think it's pretty impressive that they basically abandoned Unity and ported it over in a completely new engine, and now they're releasing it. So shout out to the Slay the Spire 2 devs. That was it from the Triple I showcase. Did you want to do your follow-up on Cities Skylines, Peachy?
Oh, right. Yeah, so I reinstalled City Skylines because there was mod support.
Okay.
Right.
I have now played more than I did than when it first came out. Okay, this is a minefield, right? It runs much better, like much better. I'm actually limiting it to 30 frames so my PC doesn't, get too hot, right? But it runs so much better. And we have some of the mods that you need to play City Skylines. It is a much better game. It's a much better game. They also caught a lot of flack from the DLC. I didn't buy the DLC, so I wasn't that put out. Apart from there were assets of trees in there that then you wouldn't have if it wasn't in DLC, but that's minor thing for me.
I didn't even know they had a DLC. That's a bit cheeky.
Yes, it's called Beachfront Properties.
Right.
Well, they had a roadmap, right? And that was listed in the full. I didn't actually this time. I didn't buy the whole pack because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy this and then I'll pick up the packs later, right? So I think that Paradox are like, oh, people think we're bad now. Yes, we do, Paradox. And they are giving refunds for everyone who bought the Beachfront DLC. There was a very candid letter to the effect of it wasn't good enough and we haven't been moving fast enough on the base game to be doing this. So here's a refund. Anyone who's bought the Ultimate Edition that gets this stuff for free, they paid for it, but you know what I mean. They're going to add more to the game with value. And the apology letter was quite transparent. They were like, hey, we kind of fucked up. I'm paraphrasing. They didn't say that. And it was signed by not only the CEO of Colossal Order, the developers, but also by the CEO of Paradox. Okay. And reading the YouTuber apology video, it felt pretty genuine and open. To be quite honest, like I have lost a lot of faith with Paradox. But having said that, they built up a lot of trust with me over the years and the games I've played from them.
Yeah.
So after something this open, it doesn't read. There are some things in there that are like, oh yeah, that's PR speak. But it is mostly a truthful statement. And I'm like, do you know what? Okay. Yeah. I'm willing to be like, yeah, they are talking about refunds. They want to put more manpower. They were very clear that all of the other stuff that I've been working on, like they have community assets and update packs and stuff, that those are not coming out of Colossal Order. That Colossal Order are now full steam on nothing else but getting this game working. They've delayed till Q2, I think. They've delayed some stuff. So I think Paradox have actually gone, money. We need to fix this with money because we got into this problem by taking money. And I think there's more money going into Colossal Order to work on the game. I think there's a focus for Colossal Order to work on the game and get it to it. The game isn't finished yet. Mods is still in beta, right? We don't have proper assets yet. There are some mods that are really not ready for prime time, but you can get assets in there. We don't have Traffic Manager either, which is another thing. We shouldn't have to rely on mods, but it's hard, right? Because a large company, money, just want you to think better of them. And this has kind of made me think better of them, that they are trying to get this game to a point where they can sell DLC again without just absolutely shitting all over their reputation.
100%. Yeah. For audio only listeners, because I've got the statement on the screen, I'll just read a part of it. It says, why is Beach Properties being refunded? We see and understand the disappointment many have expressed after the release of Beach Properties and agree that this DLC felt rushed and should not have been published in the state that it was. We have therefore decided to make the asset pack a free addition to the game, compensate those who bought it to the extent possible, brackets, see the rest of the FAQ for blah, 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 and provide additional content within the Ultimate Edition in an effort to repay the loyalty we've seen in the community since the release of City Skylines 2. So that is pretty big like you were
Yeah, that's
saying,
pretty big of them.
because that's not just, oh, we erred, therefore we must apologize. That is, we have erred, we are refunding and giving you more for free, based on how I'm reading that. So you're getting the beach properties for free for everyone as part of the base game, and some extra stuff as well, which I think is also fair. Like it's a reasonable expectation. Like if Paradox were like, okay, what do you want as a way of apology? This would be what I ask for. It's like, listen,
Right.
you've breached my trust. You've made me like I've spent money on a bad product. Your game is still unoptimized, and you've been working on DLCs and stuff as well as instead of arguably of fixing the game. So I think, yeah, I agree with you there, Peachy, that this is probably the best outcome from this situation.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I kind of do have to say that I am maybe a little biased because I started playing again with mods, and it did the thing that the original game did with me, and I have been streaming it nonstop. Today was the first day I didn't stream it in 2 weeks, maybe longer. I have gone hard on that game because it's kind of back, baby, but it's not quite. It's not finished.
Yeah.
If you haven't bought in yet, maybe wait.
Yeah.
Maybe wait till it's 100% finished. If you are chomping at the bit, or if you already bought it, yeah, mods are there. We don't have traffic. Traffic manager is not there. It is still coming soon. I check the GitHub every single day. It's not there yet, but we've got a lot of stuff, and it's good. It's if it released in that state, I think people would be like, it's a bit buggy, but okay.
Yeah, they would have been far more forgiving of it.
Oh, so much more forgiving. So much. Like this is more proof that it was rushed, right?
Yeah.
Like the DLC was obviously shit out with, like, you can't even make beaches in the game, but they have beachfront properties.
Right.
There's like 3 maps that even have some beach on them. It's not like, everything's a beach.
That doesn't seem like it's been planned very well.
I think they were like, oh, look at our timeline for this DLC that we promised. We need to do something. And they rushed it out because they have done a lot to that. It runs so much better. And the teeth are still being rendered. It is running better and the teeth are still rendered. No, you can't see the teeth unless you take the camera inside of a Sim's head.
Right. But they're being rendered.
Yeah, if you're jumping at the bit and you've already bought it, yeah, now's a good time to get back in.
That's fair.
Now is a good time to get back in.
Yeah.
One thing I did miss from the III initiative, just to quickly touch on it, is Palword have announced arenas. Very, very similar to Pokemon Arena on the N64 back in the day.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Bit of PvP. I actually think that's cool because that was like probably one of my favorite
They
Pokemon
need to
games.
do that.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, if you're going to have a Pokemon-esque game, PvP is kind of necessary.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just
100%.
it's such a funny I played it. I know a lot of people liked it. It's always so funny. Like when I saw you put Pokemon Arena, and I'm like,
I just remembered something as well. The CEO of the company for Palworld has recently did an interview where he was complaining about people making clone games in China of Palworld.
girl,
Palworld, the heavily inspired Pokemon game.
It's definitely not. As someone who hated the concept, it's not a clone game.
It's not a clone, but it's heavily inspired. But
it's not a clone.
He was then claiming that these Chinese games are cloning it, and the one that he referenced was a game that was announced with all of its features before they announced their game. So he's actually just straight up falsely accusing this company anyway, and it comes out soon, and it's coming out with the features they said that will come out before Palworld was even announced as a game. So yeah, it just tickled me that they were like, oh yeah, people were cloning our game. It's like,
I don't think it's a clone.
Yeah,
I never thought it was a clone. I think the only thing is it just looked very, very similar, and it's like
it's derivative at best.
Yeah,
Derivative. All games are derivative.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think like if anything, like you could pick up like what was heavily, it's like what designs were heavily inspired by Pokemon, but they're not complete ripoffs.
Yeah, they didn't take the Pokemon game and just change the Pokemon.
Yeah, and they changed it enough that it was its own unique. Not unique, sorry, because there have been a lot. I caught myself immediately. It was its own thing.
The mashup was unique.
Yeah.
The things
there's been clones for like years, like, you know, down like Digimon when that came around, that people called that a clone.
Digimon is the superior show, though.
I love Digimon.
Yeah.
I get down with Digimon.
I have no idea how that T-Rex turned into a sexy woman, but I'm here for
it. Yeah.
True.
And I like that there was a naming consistency with all of them. Everyone ended in Mon.
Yeah.
We all knew they were Mons.
They were all Mons.
But like even Digimon got, like, you know, that same treatment.
And also, wasn't the last Pokemon game kind of meh?
Yes. It was the last Pokemon, Scarlet and whatever, or whatever the recent ones.
I like to call them Pokemon Mommy and Daddy.
We bought those, but I don't know why. I just never got around to playing it.
Yeah, it's probably not a big deal. They were heavily panned for being very buggy, and like they barely iterated on the previous ones.
One thing I do appreciate, though, is I do remember going on Twitter when those games came out and people posting all of the bugs they were fighting. Just like people walking out of the ocean with like these odd walks in the middle of a dialogue. It's just like completely like it sounded fun.
The thing with the Pokemon games is obviously like it's literally one of the, if not the most successful franchise on the planet. And when they develop,
fans are diehard too.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like they have all of this money. It's a Nintendo like based company. Like you can only really play it on Nintendo hardware. And usually Nintendo do pretty good when it comes to Q&A, when it comes to their games and stuff like that.
But I think what the case with Pokemon is it's not Nintendo, it's Game Freak.
Yeah, but obviously that's
what I've always heard.
Yeah, it is. It's the Pokemon company that's owned by Game Freak, but Game Freak only publish their games on Nintendo hardware.
Yeah.
And obviously there is going to be some kind of deal with like quality assurance and things like that.
Yeah.
And yet Pokemon games seem to just sneak under that radar and are always distinctly bad compared to other Nintendo exclusive games.
Well,
in terms of quality.
So I was playing Pokemon Diamond, Brilliant Diamond on, like I told you, I play I played my Switch when I'm on my treadmill. And I mean, it is just such a basic game in general. And like I've noticed, like I haven't gone, I think the newest one I played before was Sword. And it still was pretty basic at its core. Like it's always like the same concept. They've always added new things. And I think whenever they have added new changes, like the fan base doesn't seem to respond well to it because they do like it. There's some intense like my brother got into like the breeding for a bit when we were younger with like all the eggs and the berries and the shinies, and I've like seen people like they have fully dedicated to like shiny hunting, and I'm like I don't even know what any of that is.
Yeah, I've got a few streamer friends who are hardcore about the shiny hunting.
Yeah,
and
I had a
stuff
streamer friend.
Whenever I go to the hobby shop, there is always someone playing Pokemon, the TCG.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, not every time, but sometimes I'll see people playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, but there is always people playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I remember collecting the cards. I collected the cards as a kid.
I think we all did. It's a millennial rite of
everyone
passage.
did, but I never like dreamed of playing with them. Like, you know, like I didn't, no one I knew wanted to play with them. They always just wanted to collect them. So for the longest time, I was always wondering like, who the fuck actually plays Pokemon? And I didn't realize how big of it actually is, because everyone I interacted with were just like purely like they just wanted to collect them.
Or you play like a half-assed version of it. Like you've got Charizard, which had the 100-point attack, and you had a Keferi or
Yeah.
whatever, and it
But
was
you
just
didn't
like,
want
oh,
to
I
use
did
that Charizard
60.
because that Charizard's like worth a lot. You don't
Yeah,
want to
people try to steal your
that.
shit. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
In fact, if
And I think
anything,
that's what it was.
that's mostly what we did with Pokemon cards. We'd sell them to each other or go to, at least here in the UK, like the local market and sell it to the guy who would then try and sell it on and flip it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, I got Charizard, I'll sell it to you for £5, and then he'd sell it for 20 quid or something like that. And just like, yeah, that was how we played Pokemon
Yeah,
back in the day.
Do you know why that card was expensive?
Because it was one of the stronger cards. It had like the 100
it
damage
was
attack.
strong in the game.
Yeah.
And we're just like, ooh,
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah, pretty much. And because it was strong, it was technically rarer, and obviously, like, I've forgotten the word for it, but scarcity, and that
And
increased the value.
the only card game I ever was exposed to, like people actually like walking in and seeing people play, was always Magic the Gathering.
I've got about
And
1,000 Magic cards. I used to play when I was a kid.
Yeah, I did. My brothers weren't really into it, and a lot of my interests when I was younger was influenced by them. So Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh weren't really like a huge influence. And I watched the Yu-Gi-Oh show, but I didn't really get exposed to Magic until probably, I want to say, in my like late teens, early 20s.
Yeah,
So
I think I was probably about 10, and it was my uncle that got me into it. And he was like, "Oh, what do you think of this?" And he bought me some decks, and like we played around with it a bit. And then I just stopped collecting after I had about 1,000 cards. I actually went through them about a year ago on stream, and I was just like comparing them to like auction websites, and it turns out one of the cards that I own is worth 100 quid. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
Selling that.
Bad.
Yeah, I should probably get that sold out. But yeah, we'll move on to the next subject, I think, because I'm actually looking forward to this talk.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'm the one who did.
Never apologize. Hope never
anytime we get
apologize.
sidetracked, guys, blame me.
No. That was not a hint. I just wanted to move on because we only have a set amount of time, and I'm interested in this topic.
No, of course.
So Mike Ybarra, who was previously the president, and then whatever the title was before that, before they changed it, posted a tweet, and the tweet goes as the following.
He was the actual president? Oh my god.
Yeah, he was the president of Blizzard. And
there we go.
Did I not say Blizzard?
No,
apologies.
He was the president.
He was the president, just not
Peachy,
of a specific thing. Okay, but yeah,
the president of the United States.
So he tweeted the following: "I've thought about this idea for a while as a player, allegedly, since I've been diving into single-player games lately. When I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. At the end of the game, I've often thought, I wish I could give these folks another $10 or $20 because it was worth more than the initial $70 that they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, etc. I know $70 is already a lot, but it's an option at the end of the game I wish I had at times. Some games are that special. I know most of you, or most will dislike this idea, smiley face. By the way, I realize we are tired of tipping in everything else, but I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenarios many face and give feedback on. And I thought, one, shut up, Mike, because he's the ex-president of Blizzard. But I do understand the sentiment that he's getting at. If it hadn't have come from him, I think it would have actually been received a lot better.
Developers.
And that's the other thing. Like, if we could actually trust publishers to implement that sort of feature, where the money did go to the people who developed the game,
to like banking on people's good faith that like, okay, so like all three of us I know would absolutely, if we knew that if we could tip like an extra $5 to a developer and we knew for a fact it was going to go to the developer, I don't see any of us like arguing with that, especially 100%. If you really enjoy the game. But like, I'm not going to put, I don't trust these publishers whatsoever, these execs, Mike Ybarra in particular, for saying this. It's like you want to bank on people's good faith, and absolutely would be taking advantage of it. There would be so many like developer or publishers that would be taking advantage of that and saying like, oh yeah, we tip to the developer. It's not going them.
Well,
we can't guarantee that.
There's two scenarios that I could imagine that this would get abused or exploited. And I'm in the same mindset as you, Pope. Like, I wouldn't trust like the publisher, because it would be something implemented by the publisher. And ultimately, the two scenarios are either hardly any of the money would go to the actual devs from this tipping feature, or at the very least, they'd be skimming a fair chunk off it.
Yeah.
Or, worse still, maybe the money does go to them, but they then pay the developers less and are like, oh, yeah, you've got to make a good game to get good tipsy bitches kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how the tipping system works in the States.
Yes.
Is
100%.
that with servers, when you go to a restaurant, the reason why tipping is such a big deal here is because a lot of restaurants will pay their servers a lot less hourly, so they're relying on those tips. And that's absolutely something. I don't know if anything's changed. I've never been a server, so like if I'm wrong about anything and there is anybody who's listening that is a server and I'm wrong, absolutely correct me.
No, that's still the case.
But to my understanding, to my understanding, and from what my conversations with people who have been servers, that's the way it works. That's absolutely a scenario that I could see happening, is that the developers being paid less and trying to kind of incentivize them.
Yeah.
They would want to incentivize their consumers into tipping, and it would be easily just be like, going to Starbucks, getting your coffee, and then having the, do you want to tip at the end when you're done playing or something? Like, how would that work?
Yeah, 100%. And they would probably be skimming some of it off anyway as well.
Oh, absolutely.
At the bare minimum administration fees or some shit like that.
But also, how would you? Because that's also a variation of tip pooling, So like, I don't know, like that. I don't know how that would work.
Like, how would you distribute it?
Exactly.
That's what I mean. How would you distribute that properly? Because the only time I've ever worked in an environment where there was tipping was I worked at a Starbucks for 3 months. This is years ago though, like 2013. And they had the tip jar there, and at the end of the week, they would do a tip pool, or they would pool it all together, and then they would divvy it out. But when I was working there, I think there was a few times I was always on the register because I have such a nice personality, I guess. But I would have a customer who would be like, oh, here's 5. This is for you. Like for you, not for anyone else, for you. And I have to put it in there because it's like, well, shit,
I hated
can't
that.
do that. It's the worst because it's like, because if I'm tipping, if I'm the customer and I'm tipping, and it's somebody in particular that who's working with me, and I'm like, I want them to have the benefit from it. It kind of, and I understand that it's like kind of shitty because it's like you want to, everyone having the equal benefit. But if one person is pulling the weight in this case, and it's like this person's going above and beyond, and I want to tip their good work, I should be able to do that. But that's just kind of how it was. And the same that kind of goes with tipping the developers. Like, what if it's like, so I don't know, because I've been, go ahead.
I actually thought about this because I as I just said, I hated when, like, if I worked in the service industry, and like I used to work in bars and stuff like that, so I would hate it if I was at a company and they were like, oh no, it has to go in the tip jar that we then divvy up at the end. But then I thought, well, in terms of a game, I could see it working like that better. Because when you're in the service industry, you're often wanting to tip the person that you're interacting with because it's their service. If you wanted to tip the chef, you would say, oh, I want this to go to the chef or whatever.
Right.
Like you can literally ask to speak to the chef in some cases and then be like, yeah, here's the money, mate. Like, thanks for that. Fucking good meal.
Right.
That you've got that option to at least access people to give them things individually. Whereas in the terms of a game, let's say you get a really, really, really good game, but for some reason the art style is just something that everyone also fell in love with. So everyone goes, okay, well, you've got the option to tip the art department. And it's like, okay, but the game still has to be good as a whole for you to also enjoy the art. You know what I mean? Because if it was just the art, you wouldn't be like, oh, this game's shit, but I really like the art, so I'll tip the artist. It's very rare that scenario would happen.
That's what I was actually trying to think of. That's why I was referencing, like, if there's like one aspect where like you want to, like, I've been playing like Fallout New Vegas again, and the writing in that game is just so great. And it's like, if so, going in, it's like, well, you know, obviously it's an old game, so it's not really a relevant example. But if I wanted to like tip the whoever wrote for like this one character, like how would you wouldn't be able to individualize who you're tipping. It would just go into a pool, and like, you know, like I said, you can't. We would have, they would be banking on our good faith that it's going to go to where we want it to go.
And in those scenarios, like, you might really like a character, but it's not necessarily just the writing that made that character. It's the person who then the voice actor, the person who did the artwork for it, the concept art, which then was taken by another graphic artist to turn it into a 3-dimensional object and things like that. So a lot of people do, from varying departments, work on that one character. So that's why I see the pooling thing as actually working in this scenario, because it does take many hands to get to even the thing that you especially like, if that makes sense.
Right. And can I also say something that comes off very skeevy about this tweet by Mike is, you were the head of Blizzard, right?
Yeah.
It was Blizzard.
Yeah.
Why aren't you paying your developers? Like, why don't you just choose to pay your developers more than in trying to like put out there into the ether of like, you know, what'd be nice is tipping the developers. So give us an excuse to pay them less. And it just comes off just super fucking tone deaf.
And that was a lot of the backlash. Like because it came from him, people were like, so the one industry that pays its employees the least in terms of software dev, at least, and you're there going, oh, I just wish we could give them more money. Well, why didn't you fucking give them more money?
Why don't you just give them more money?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if I was working at a company and my boss came out and was like, you know, it would be nice if like we could have our customers be paying, you know, tipping you guys so you can be better compensated for your jobs. You'd sit there and be like, sir?
Yeah, bombastic side eye, like straight away.
Like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What's your paycheck, sir?
Peachy, do you have any opinions? Like, me and Pope have kind of dominated this conversation.
Sorry. I have a question. Where is Mike Ybarra from?
How do you mean?
What country?
No idea.
I have a feeling the States.
Is he States?
I believe he works in the States. He was based in California at the Blizzard HQ.
So he's from the States. He worked for fucking Blizzard. There's no way the devil comes with a smile, right? There is no way he's saying that genuinely. There is no way the information he has in his brain can stop him from thinking about that in the way that a CEO would think about that. And someone who lives in a country where servers have to be tipped to earn a wage.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So he's in California.
There is no way that is a genuine thing from him. He's like, I got an idea how to make more money and pay people less. Like, developers do not get paid enough as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to earn money making something digitally, you don't make games, right? You make games for the passion.
Yeah.
But people got to eat. No, there is no way this ever works.
Yeah.
This does not work in any shape or form ever, because
also
there is skimming. There will be a service charge. There will be a percentage after the service charge to go to the publisher.
Here's also something about tipping is tipping should be incentivized by the customer, not the owner of the company. It should be if you as the consumer, if you, Peachy, like you played a really great boomer shooter and you're like, you know what, I really like these devs and I want to send them extra money or send them like a tip.
It's called fucking PayPal.me.
Yeah.
Fuck Mike Ybarra.
Fuck. Yeah, no, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like you as a consumer, us as consumers should not be hearing from the president of fucking Blizzard of all fucking places.
President of America. Thank you.
President of America. But like, fuck Blizzard. Just an American company, dead stop right there. So right there, like we're you know, the CEOs are notorious for taking advantage of.
I believe he is also currently looking for work. I don't know why he left Blizzard recently.
I hope he doesn't find anything.
But again,
he's got some great monies for pieces of shit companies that want to earn money.
You know what?
Drone workers who work
I'm sure he's enjoying
job and can't afford a house.
Well, you could also interpret this as him being like, "Hey, you should hire me. I have great ideas like this."
Yeah, great idea, Mike Ybarra. How much money did you make at Blizzard, bud?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
goddamn, dude. But the thing, like I'm saying, is that anytime tipping, this is why like the reason why tipping culture in the States in general is just so toxic.
Yes,
Is
it
it's
is.
always because of the people who are in charge are the ones who are trying to incentivize it when it actually should have been from the consumers in the beginning. When I brought up the example of like I would be working the register at Starbucks and the customer would give me like the $5 and I wasn't making their drink, but they decided to hand it to me and I had to put it in the tip jar, which I don't give a shit about having to split my tips. So like, fuck it now. Like, I mean, this was back then. But if somebody gave me that should have been mine in that case, because that was somebody tipping me for my performance and my work.
100%.
So as a consumer, if I want to tip a developer, which I would be happy to. I used to love Bandcamp and shit like that, where you could pay what you want for the product that you're getting.
I mean, we're
And
content
if you can't
creators.
afford it,
We
you can't
kind
afford
of
it.
live off tipping ourselves, but we don't.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
This goes on a slight tangent, but
Yeah.
I've had the conversation about tipping in the US with friends, both American and otherwise, before, and also on public platforms like TikTok and stuff like that. Tipping in the US is very unique in that when you
It's
tip,
gotten worse.
well, when you tip
gotten a lot
literally
worse.
anywhere else in the world, apart from maybe some East Asian countries, like in Japan, it's allegedly insulting kind of thing. But when you tip anywhere else in the world, you are tipping because you felt like you got exceptional service. The person serving you went above and beyond, or whatever product was provided to you, they went above and beyond, and you therefore wanting to pay extra. In the US, you feel compelled to tip, not because of that. I'm sure there are, of course, occasions where the server or the service industry worker has done something to merit it, but in most instances, because you are guilt tripped into doing it because you know they're not being paid enough for the job that they're doing.
Right. And the other thing too is in my experience as being on both sides, there are people who weaponize tipping as well.
Yes.
So you'll have customers who will kind of like they know that they have, like they get a power trip from it. I've seen it happen before where someone will have like this power trip and be like, what will you do for this?
Yeah.
And they almost like, they kind of like feed off of mistreating like
dance for me, monkey.
Yeah. Basically.
Dance. What will you do for this? I will give you a 20.
Do you want
It's
this
like-
shiny dollar?
And it's like, and that's why I'm saying, like, anytime it comes to tipping, and that, like, I'm not meaning to turn this into a conversation about tipping, but like, as an American, being from the US, like, I have like a lot of strong feelings about this.
No,
And having worked in the service industry and having a lot of friends who worked in the service industry and seeing how just irritating it is and how it has gotten worse. I don't use delivery apps and stuff like that anymore. Like, one, because they're way too expensive, but it's also like, I've had people where I've tipped them very well, like, because some of them, like, I think it was Grubhub or something I used, and they'll have like the tipping already, I can't remember which one, but one of them, like, you tip beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've had like my food arrive like in poor condition. I've had things forgotten. I had like an Uber, it was Instacart. And I think Instacart, you tip beforehand. They've delivered me moldy food before and I had to throw it out. So it's like, no, I don't want to like, I just don't want to rely on other people. And it's not me not, wanting to tip people or pay people. It's like, you know what? I've just learned, like, if it's something I could do on my own, I'll just do it on my own. Because if I don't want to be, again, that guilt trip of like, I don't want to like because like as a consumer, when I would use these apps, it does go in your head where like, if I don't tip this guy the best tip that's available, I might not get my food like in a timely manner. I might steal something. Like, that's how it's like kind of like manifested into this very toxic cycle where like, as a consumer, like, you feel bad if you don't tip enough. And it's like, and then as the employee, like, you feel like you're obligated to, I mean, you should be doing the best, doing the best you can anyway, like, but if you're having an off day and then like feeling like it's going to impact your tipping and like putting on like the happy face,
It's not the consumer's job to give employees their judgment. Like,
exactly, it's not the consumer's job to be paying their wages.
Shit job, that person deserves to be able to pay their rent and eat food.
Yeah. I know.
Even
I
if
agree.
they do a shit job.
As a consumer, it's not our job to be paying their rent. If that makes sense. Like
No,
we
100%.
The
we're
company should be doing that.
so
It's really weird the way America does it. And
I agree. I'm
The
100%
conversation
with you on
about
that.
it is weird as well. Like we're all progressives here. Like we're all like left leaning at the very least, and like I consider myself quite left leaning.
He's going off on some woke bullshit.
Oh no,
again.
not again,
God, these woke
not again.
assholes.
But the conversation that I've seen with fellow progressives stateside is like, you should always tip your service people. And it's like, but if we keep doing that, you're not going to fix the problem. You're literally promoting it. Don't you want to?
That's the thing. That's where I kind of struggle with this, because like I'm very liberal. I'm very progressive myself, but I'm also on the side of like I've been on both sides of this. Like everyone has been, and like I don't feel like feeding into a problem. Like, or like there was something I was like watching. It was like a old videos about like South Park, and like how the creators didn't want to answer to terrorism, so to speak. Like they were, getting terrorist threats for one of the episodes. I think it had to do with the Muhammad one.
Right.
And their attitude towards it was like, they wanted to push forward with the episode, and it was Comedy Central that censored the episode, and it was really disappointing, because it's like you're not really you're just perpetuating that problem. You're just letting it continue. So when it comes to this toxic nature of tipping, the more you add like these tipping options onto like the because a lot of restaurants here have like iPads and shit like that, and it's like, I'm just gonna drip coffee, and you're being forced to to select the tip that you want to give to the server, and it's like, dude, come on, like.
Right.
How much is the coffee? I will buy the coffee. You pay your workers, and I buy the coffee.
I'll just buy the coffee grounds next time, dude. And dude, it's just like
another angle to also look
weird,
at this
because
that way.
if you push back on this, and it's like, you're right. Like people say you should be doing it anyway. It's like, of course, when I do tip, and I feel the work is,
Catch 22, isn't it? Like,
it puts you as
after death.
This is such a weird conversation, because I don't want to be put in this position where it's like, either way, you're the asshole.
Yeah, no, it's true, because you see people say things like, well, if you can't afford the tip, you can't afford to go out and eat. And it's like, listen, mate, I'm having a shitty time. I just wanted to eat a nice fucking salad in a fancy place with my significant other or whatever. Like, you can't make me feel shitty because the company that I go to doesn't pay its employees well enough. But there is like the other side of the coin as well, because obviously part of the problem is like the job market. Whereas in the UK, there's a minimum wage. I actually have had friends leave their jobs in office, like jobs in office environments, to go back to their service jobs because they got paid a basic wage, but also the tips on top ended up outpaying the office jobs.
I know some people who've done that. Like my sister-in-law, she was a teacher for a while, and she went back to serving at a restaurant. I was about to say which restaurant, I couldn't remember. But because she made really good tips on it. And I've met people who they really like being servers because they make over and above the minimum wage because of because of their tips. So there is a catch-22 there, where it's like,
That's
there
the way
is a
it
benefit,
should be, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's how it should be.
Whatever fucking piece of shit you have to wake up for and force yourself to be alive every day to do the drudgery of a 9 to 5, should be able to eat. You should be able to pay your rent, etc.
And I've had people tip me in jobs where they don't allow tips. I've had there's no tip jar or anything. I just went above and beyond, and someone was very nice. Like, I had a customer, I worked at a retail store, and she sent me a thank you card with a $20 bill in it. It was really sweet. And I was the assistant manager at a shoe store, so we didn't allow tips. And it was like a very nice gesture someone did, and that's how tipping should be. It should be a very nice gesture to reward someone for going above and beyond. So in the case going back, we've gone way off track.
Cool.
This is my fault again.
No, we're good. We're good. If anything, it's my fault, and I'm very okay with this. So go.
I have an idea for Mike.
Right, go on.
You can shut up.
Enforce that every single publishing developer house has a union, and then implement the tips.
Yep.
You won't, will you? No.
No, they won't do that.
Oh, fuck yourself.
I mean, as it is, there's so many of these, like, what is it? Like Naughty Dog. Like, they stick out to me whenever I bring this up. It's when I found out about, like, Last of Us 2. They were just, like, bringing in independent contractors constantly for the development of that game. And it's like,
I found
have
something out about them the other day. Do you know what they call their employees?
No.
Dogs.
Dogs. Oh, they called it. Ew.
You're not
Yeah.
a metal band.
It feels icky, doesn't it? When, you know, especially when you hear about all the crunch and stuff as well.
Yeah, the
And
crunch.
they do the whole, like, we're a family thing.
I remember that huge leak, and the one thing that stuck out to me is like, you guys keep firing and hiring new independent contractors.
Mm.
Like, what the fuck are you doing
You don't
over
have to
there?
pay
And
them
they're in
benefits.
Santa Monica. They're in California.
Mhm.
So
They're on short-term contracts. They don't get
yeah,
nothing.
ooh, because they don't have to pay pay taxes.
Yeah.
You are gonna be paying those taxes. Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty icky.
Basically, he's trying to sound reasonable, even though he knows, and we all know that will never happen correctly.
No,
And
absolutely not.
It makes me think less of that absolute piece of.
I think that, like, he really thought he did something there. He thought he ate with that tweet. He was
Mm.
like, yeah, everyone's gonna be on me like, woo,
Thinks he's
Mike,
better than he is.
look at this
You're not
guy
that
with his
good a
progressive
liar.
opinions about tipping developers. It's like, no, dude, how about this? Just an idea. Just pay them a living wage and, like, let the developers, if they want to put their PayPals up,
Yeah,
on their
put the
own-
PayPals at the end in the fucking credits, Mike.
do that. Put their PayPals up or
There
something.
we go.
But I don't want the publishing house or whoever these execs are to be the one who's insisting on it, because it gives them the excuse. So to monitor them, to see if whether or not they can get away with paying them less because they're making a lot in tips. I don't need to pay them as much. Let the developers get their tips in private.
So to summarize,
Stay out of it, Mike.
the sentiment
Shut your damn mouth, Mike.
is nice. Shut the fuck up, Mike, and pay
Yeah.
your employees properly. But
You did not eat with that tweet.
he did not one bit, and nor did his employees, because they were underpaid. So we're going to jump to the break, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
We are going to grab ourselves a new fresh cup of tea in my gargantuan mug. Someone complimented your cup, by the way, Pope, in my chat. Wings of Asgard says that they like your glass. But yes, we're going to hop to the break.
My mason jar. Thank you very much.
We'll jump to the break for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Mics will be hot, and we may even talk about tipping some more in some way or form. And we'll play some music. BRB. Hey everyone, just wanted to interrupt this podcast briefly to say a big thank you, huge thank you to those of you who watch us live on Twitch, those of you who watch on YouTube and are subscribed and like the videos, those of you who write reviews on Spotify and things like that. Actually, huge. Love it when people give us like 5-star reviews and things like that. So thank you again to all of you. Also, just wanted to let you know, we do, of course, have a Patreon, patreon.com/fully rendered. On the Patreon, you get to ask us Q&A questions that we will feature in the podcast. You get to help us decide on topics. You get access to specials. Currently, there's a special with Peachy and Pulp to talk about Warhammer lore, for example, things like that. So if that sounds cool to you, do please check it out. Patreon.com/fully rendered. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the show. I've forgotten who I am. There we go.
Well, Brian.
I am Brian. Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of the Fully Rendered podcast. We have so much more to talk about. We're going to try and squeeze in as much as we can. Should we let you take the reins for a moment here?
We're going to talk about the Warhammers.
We are.
Warhammer. It's been it feels like it's been a minute.
Okay, right. Well, okay. There is something I need to bring up about Custodes. Okay, they've had a new codex, and this is probably the most important thing in the wargaming Warhammer space right now. The Custodes codex is not very good, and they've got a low win rate. So what's next on the docket?
So next we got Blizzard and
First of all, that's all true. But it's not that true. It's just, new army, new book. Oh, I'm gonna kill everyone on the table, and Games Workshop are trying not to do power creep. So I think they might have gone a bit ham, but it's fine.
Okay.
The big problem is that women are woke now, or something. I think.
Fuck!
Women
Sorry.
are woke.
I'm
You all
sorry.
need to stay out of male spaces. Okay.
Anyway, it was nice talking to all of you.
That was a legitimate comment my friend got on her. She did like a meme TikTok, just
I
like she
think
was
I
just
saw
eating
that.
popcorn. and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just
I saw that. She, long red hair, right? I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, Miss Magitech.
Yes. Yeah.
Good, great. Go check her out if you like TTRPGs. And yeah, one of the comments was, "Stay out of male spaces." May.
Yeah, I think I blocked him on the spot.
Yeah, it's like, how bigoted you have to be to go all the way around to be gay again? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
No, there are some legit concerns. There are, because it's a big change to law. If you don't know, Custodes now in the law have female Custodes. Now, Custodes, Space Marines, they've always been male. There is, in many books that has been reinforced fairly recently by Games Workshop, is only males can become Space Marines. Something to do with hormones and blah, blah, blah. Basically, when they started selling them, nobody bought the female model, so they just wrote it into the law, which is how they do law. Let me tell you how they do law. Games Workshop retcons all the time, but they don't actually retcon. How it works is, because Warhammer is so complex, you will have lots of bit of information that will conflict with each other constantly and say almost entirely a different thing. And they just say, oh, this person was mistaken. This person was ill-informed. This person was lying. Essentially, both sides are correct, right? And they introduce new law. And people go, oh, this has changed. This is different. It's like, and then they just, no, that's the law. Or is it? All the law is correct and all the law is incorrect at the same time. That's why it's such a beautiful franchise if you care about law.
I imagine part of it is also the fact, especially like early on before it really exploded into a global phenomenon, but just like designs and the cost of printing different models.
So...
Like,
we've
got 3 male models if we add another. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no. Go ahead. And like, I'm just thinking out loud. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. So I was just elaborating, like, say you've designed 3 male models, and then it's like, okay, well, we now have to design a 4th model for a woman. It's like, well, do we have the budget to make that model and so on? And that establishes law in of itself, because they only printed male models to begin with. Like, isn't that a factor to a degree?
The law exists to sell you plastic.
Yeah.
Like this franchise that you love so much is not yours. It is that company's, and they can do what they want. I need to address, though, there are, like, I can understand some concerns because it is such a complex thing. Now, what you'll hear brought up about this, and people going, oh, it's gone woke, there's women now. I don't actually care too much about Custodes, because we don't know how Custodes are made. We only know that the first 10,000 were made by the God Emperor of Mankind. I have to say that every show. I get tipped for it. And people are mad that Games Workshop's official reply is there have always been, since the first 10,000, female Custodes. Now, there are a lot of people who like to call new people coming into the hobby tourists because they don't understand the law and stuff, which is a disparaging term, and it's stupid. Your hobby will literally die if you don't get new people in. That's just...
Yeah, exactly.
They like to call them tourists, and they are very upset of the way that Games Workshop are now gaslighting them by saying they've always been there. Hey, tourists, that's how they do law. Welcome to the whiplash that is Warhammer 40k. Yeah. It's rough. It is rough. Shit can change on a dime. Or maybe it doesn't.
So is this like new figurines with female that have
no new figurines?
No new figurines. Yes. So, okay.
We're hoping for a head swap. I don't think you need to change the sculpt of the body, because Custodes are taken as babies and injected with fucking
Right.
I don't know. They get a baby. They
What's
jam
to stop?
all this super soldier into them, and
Yeah,
then they
and
fill them.
what's this? Where in the lore does it state that there can't be any women?
So
that ever-
in for Custodes, by the way, not Space Marines. You're tourist. I'm really enjoying using that term back on people. So for Space Marines, in the law, it says that only males can be Space Marines. Custodes are not
Okay.
Space Marines.
Isn't there
They're
like
simply
conflicting
soldiers.
things though? Because I've also seen people quote stuff that literally says men and women in gold armor and stuff like that.
Right. So, okay, that
Mm.
quote is probably taken out of context by the people whose side I'm actually on, but they probably mean Sisters of Silence and Adepts and stuff when they're
Okay.
talking about that. Every other book of the Custodes has said things like the Brotherhood and things like that. And there are things, it doesn't explicitly say that females
So,
can't.
do these people think that Warhammer's just been a big sausage fest this whole time?
I mean, it
Yes,
has. It is.
essentially.
It's still a male-dominated hobby.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. It is
meant
still
like
a
the-
male-dominated hobby.
No, I meant like the. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'm just like
there
I'm
are
trying to.
there are female factions and stuff in the game.
Yes.
Like there's the Sisters of
That's what I
Silence, for
meant.
example.
That's
Sisters
what I
of
was asking.
Silence work hand in hand with the Custodes, and that quote that you're talking about is probably talking about the Sisters of
Okay.
Silence.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
It's like people are looking for proof that this existed before. It
Right.
didn't. They've retconned it. Warhammer does that all the time.
Yeah.
I think people might also have a point that they're worried about Space Marines. Just suddenly there are women, and there always have been, which then kind of negates a lot of the stuff about Sisters of Battle. Now, Sisters of Battle are a loophole. The ecclesiarchy is the church in the Warhammer universe, and they are not allowed to have men under arms. It's a Lord of the Rings ripoff, yeah.
Right.
All right.
So they have a female army, and that's why they have booby armor, because the gender of them is very important. So they hit the loophole. So we've got no men under arms, but they have a massive, insane army of badass women, right?
Right.
Okay.
If
That's
they
what I
did-
was trying to figure out.
If they do that with Space Marines, which are taken like teenager years, I think it's like 14, 16, something like that, not babies, and suddenly women can be Space Marines. Sisters of Battle aren't their own thing anymore. They're just Astartes who are women.
Right.
And I like that like if you want to make female Space Marines, I'd be for it. I'm gonna need some good writing to fix one of my favorite things. Like I'm not against it. I'm definitely not against golden muscle mommies.
Right.
It's not my kink, but hey, you go ahead, dude.
Someone's into it.
People are worried that this is what this means, and now it's woke because I don't know. Most content creators that aren't rage bait, really angry and trying to get as many clicks off this as possible. Don't tell me they're not. They are. They don't care this much.
It's their grift.
Yeah. There are some grifting, but most people are like, oh, cool. And I think it's fine the way they did it. It's just kind of dropped on us, and now it's always been there. But doing it with Custodes, because there's still an air of mystery of how you make a Custodes, I think there is room for that to not break things.
That makes sense.
I think there is room because the Custodes are the most powerful super soldiers in the Imperium. They're crazy. It probably does mean that Games Workshop are maybe looking at female Space Marines, but we need some good writing. We need some real good writing because I really do like the Sisters of Battle, and I don't want to see them just be another Space Marine faction. Something has to happen there.
I mean, for what it sounds, the Sisters of Battle, they're the ones with the very like feminized like armor. Like, is that what you're like? That we'll learn more about this in Getting Hammered on the Patreon.
Yeah, no, they're a great faction. If like the Ecclesiarchy is a church, everything in Warhammer is satirical. It is all blown up to all kind of crazy proportions. It's funny. There are some people who kind of ignore. I don't know if they do it on purpose or are just a bit not aware of stuff that take the fascism, because it's full of fascism. Everyone is bad. No one is good. Everyone is bad. And I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or they really don't realize that we get heroes out of that thing despite the fascism, not because of the fascism.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a really hard.
You get that everywhere, don't you? Where it's like, no. This is a commentary on why it's bad, not like celebrating the badness.
Look at Starship Troopers satire.
Yes.
Look at the thing that Starship Troopers was based on: propaganda.
Yeah.
Like you can it's the same thing, but one of them has context and the other one has a different type of context.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I am all here for that. I still don't want to paint Custodes because they look really boring to paint. But hey, your head swaps that you did, you did it. You did head swaps. Now they're lore accurate. So that's cool.
I suppose something that could potentially come out of this, because my understanding is Henry Cavill is a Custodes fanboy.
He is a Custodes fanboy.
And he's obviously producing the next Warhammer adaptation. I don't know if it's a TV series or movie. So I wonder what his take, because as far as we understand, it's probably going to be something that focuses on the God Emperor and the shit that he did, including perhaps the creation of the Custodes. So I wonder if he's going to have any
I hope
ladies.
it's not about the Emperor.
Really?
I really hope it's not about the Emperor, yeah.
How come?
The Emperor works because he is a dead corpse sat atop a throne.
Right.
Constantly dying and being brought back to life to power basically a lighthouse through the warp so people can try. I really hope they don't do anything with the Emperor at all.
That's fair.
But I don't think, because Games Workshop have reinstated that only men can be Space Marines, I don't think that they're gunning for that they've always been here, but we do have Belisarius Call, and we do have Fabius Bile on the Chaos side that could bring female Astartes into play. It's just, I'm going to need some real good writing, because the best girls, I don't want them to be like, we might as well replace all those with Astartes now.
Right. That's fair. Next is the Fallout TV show. Have either of you watched it yet? I assume you have, Pope, since you've been playing it.
Well, I just started playing New Vegas yesterday again. Well, I restarted it.
Right.
And because I've been playing Sekiro throughout the week, and I needed something to relax too. So New Vegas it was.
Right.
I went and I didn't binge watch it. I think I watched like 2 episodes a day with my husband, and we had to go back on a couple episodes because I went to go on the treadmill for like 2 of them, so I missed a lot of the details. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. But
it's been very well received.
Let me preface this stuff first, because I am not that huge. Like, so I didn't play I never beat Fallout New Vegas. I played very like a hair of Fallout 4 one time and a little bit of 3. So like when it comes to like my understanding of the lore, most of it's just based off of New Vegas, and I played that back like when it came out.
Right.
So going into the series, because I know that there have been, because I've had people that came in my chat yesterday said that they weren't really fond of like the lore inconsistencies, and I don't know what the fuck those are. So
from what I've been reading, they're very, very minimal, and I think like one of the original writers for like New Vegas or whatever has made a statement who's just like, yeah, you're a bunch of pill clutching pansies, shut the fuck up. Basically, like it's very insignificant. But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, that's all, because like that's the only thing. When I say like I really enjoyed it, I don't really know like what lore inconsistencies there were. I don't know what they are, because like I'm not that well versed in the series. But the one thing I will say is that I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed too, my friends list on Steam, the amount of people picking up like 76 again, Fallout 4, New Vegas. I bought like before the series came out, all the like all the Fallouts because I was planning on doing just 1 through 4. I just chose New Vegas last night because I just an arbitrary pick because it's my favorite. But I was already planning to play through the games because I wanted to learn more about the lore. This series has invigorated a lot of people to want to pick up the series again, and Steam did a great idea, was smart enough to put them all on sale conveniently the week this game launched or the series launched.
£4, I think.
And there's the free update that improves like the quality and performance and stuff like that for current gen consoles.
The total conversion mod for New Vegas.
Yeah, it's broken pretty much. Well, so there's mods.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so they've obviously it's all planned. They've for Fallout 4 specifically, there is the current gen mod, so it's free. It gives you performance and quality modes. For PC, you get ultra-wide support and a couple of other things.
Okay.
For PC specifically, it's broken all of your mods. They no longer work. There's also Fallout London, which is a community-made project.
Games, so I didn't even know.
That's fair.
London is a total conversion. It's incredible.
So like Fallout London is like this years in the making community project that people have been working on. They've basically made
to come out.
Yeah, it was literally about to come out like 2 days after this announcement of these new mods and stuff. Oh, sorry, this new update that breaks them. So they've now postponed the update, and this update is huge. Like it's basically Fallout 5, but in London kind of thing, or would be the equivalent of. Like they have made essentially a new game in Fallout 4. So people were really looking forward to it, and then like 2 days before they were about to like release it, Bethesda like, yo, what up? Your shit don't work, kind of thing. Okay. So now they've got to recode it and stuff like that.
That is unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah, and with regards to the player counts, I believe Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas have doubled in their like average player count in the last week or so. Fallout 4 has done slightly more than double, and then Fallout 76 is like the best it's ever been, basically. I think today it reached the record.
My chat 76 broke its record again, hit over 51,000 players in a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's at 68 or something today.
If you're a Prime user, you can get a code for Microsoft Store for 76.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, the TV show though. So like, have you been enjoying it?
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, I finished it.
Yeah, so you finished it. Cool. So like, in terms of adaptions, like what's kept you watching it? Is it just really well written, or do you think it's been well adapted?
It's very well written, and they did an excellent job with recreating the atmosphere of the games.
Right.
And you know who kept me, because first off, like, so from what I understand, they have the original creators working on it. A lot of the writers were already fans of the series, so there's a lot of like they're maintaining the integrity, unlike other adaptations. Halo, you know, they really do it. Like you
Halo's the benchmark for no.
I know, it's the benchmark for horrible. But you can tell there's a lot of care and affection like behind like everything they've been doing, like how they've been like presenting the series. And the main actress, who her name is Ella Purnell, I think. She plays Lucy, the vault dweller.
Yeah.
And you could tell she's approached it with a lot of care, and like, and I think she started playing the games. I think
she's
forgot
the
what
actress for something, and I've forgotten.
Oh, she's been doing a lot. She was in Yellow Jacket. She's great. She's wonderful. She does really great at like at capturing like, you know, the audience avatar, I guess, you know, going into the wasteland and experiencing it for the first time. I think she did a great job. Walton Goggins, though, my God, he plays the ghoul. His
Jinx
scene stealer every single time. I love Walton Goggins. I keep calling him Walter, so because I it's like that, you know, the just like, I don't know, I always misremembering his name. But he was in like the Royal Gemstones, and he's been in a lot of other things too.
Right.
That's where I was first where I was first familiarized with him. But he is as the ghoul is complete, like he's a complete scene stealer.
A quick question, because we joked about it previously. Has the ghoul turned you into a monster fucker? Is the ghoul hot?
I'm married. I can't say.
Answer the question, Pope. Is the ghoul hot?
I can't answer that.
Kevin, is the ghoul hot?
I'll answer the question, Brian.
Kevin
The ghoul's hot, isn't it?
I've watched it.
Oh, okay.
Are you shocked?
I am actually. Yeah.
I am shocked.
The ghoul absolutely seals the scene when he's in there.
Right.
I mean, it's written so he does that, but yeah he kind of hot.
Thank you.
I knew it. I knew it.
It is so fucking gory. It's amazing.
But when I've been playing through, like, you know, Fallout again, I'm not surprised it's gory because there are a lot of gory.
Has jibs.
Yeah,
you explode people and
I forgot how gory it actually is. I'm going around with a sledgehammer.
I knew how gory that game was because I love a bit of jibs, and I wasn't expecting that from a TV show. It's a TV show, you know. They do a Halo. They change stuff. They make it a bit more palatable to people. Oh no. It was so fucking. It's probably more gory than the games.
Yeah, it is, dude. So, what did you think of? This isn't a spoiler though.
I've only seen the first episode because I'm watching with my girlfriend. So
okay, so then they did they bring in the Gulper, and when they did like a new design choice where they decided to like put little finger teeth inside of him. It's so eerie and weird, and I loved it. Ooh. It's the one thing that. And do you like fingers?
It's.
Well, I'm just thinking of the Last of Us Part 2. There's a scene where there's a kissing scene. It looks like a kissing scene basically between one of the zombies, and they've got these like fungal things coming out of their mouth trying to go into the mouth of the human who's just like, oh, I'm fucked. And I remember watching that scene and slowly literally going from this to as the scene went on, like I was pulling away from the kiss, like it proper creeped me out. So now I'm just hearing these mouth fingers. I'm like, not again.
Yeah, there's mouth fingers. But I think the only thing, I'm not gonna spoil anything. I think the only weird complaint I would have is like there's a lot of coincidences in the series. Like obviously it's a series, so they're trying to like get the plot moved along.
Yeah.
So like if anything, like there are a few times in the show where like some characters are in the right place at the right time, and you're like, okay, like, and it's kind of hard, like, you know, suspending your disbelief in that aspect. You'll be like, okay, yeah, but
I'm supposed to care about my father. What? Oh yeah, I forgot that's the main storyline.
They do it a lot with like all three characters, they're constantly crossing each other's path, and it's like sometimes it's just like a little too convenient for me to like believe that it's actually like, you know, it's a huge wasteland. Like I'm really supposed to believe that you guys are going to be in the same place at the same time all the time.
They do give them reasons. I mean,
they give them reasons.
They're all going to
like
California,
I said,
right?
Like I said, it's a small complaint. Like it's not really like, it doesn't take me out of the series at all. It doesn't make me dislike it. It's more of like a not really, like, you know, like, okay, like after like, and towards the end it does kind of feel a little bit more like they're rushing to get to the end of the season, but these are all like very like
speed run the main mission after you've been doing side missions for 40 hours.
Yeah, that's true. You'll get that vibe. Like none of these are really like are complaints large enough for me to be like, don't watch it.
So
it is something.
You've only sunk a large amount of time into New Vegas, right?
Yes.
I've played them all. I even went back and played the early ones. I think Tactics is probably my favorite.
I want to play Tactics. I heard it's great.
It's free on Prime. You can get it. They got a code for.
I have it.
It's so authentic. As someone who knows all the series, I don't know how you feel about that, but like the bits and pieces, like she gets a stim pack and injects herself and suddenly she's well.
Dude, like, I love the fact that they don't explain shit about the
I've heard about that. It's like it does it in the game, and that's why it does it in the show.
No one midichlorian this shit. No one went in and was like, let's explain how the stim packs work. That's not how games work. Like when we play games like Fallout, like I because I've seen you're not the only person who's like mentioned that, and I even said it when we were watching. I was like, I like that they didn't just go like, let's explain how the stim packs work. Let's explore how it helps you rebuild your limbs, or how your tissue can reconstruct itself after she got stabbed or something like that.
The first gun she picks up is the needler thing. They don't explain any of that. And in any show, they'd be like, "Oh, here it is, Maximus 5000."
And I hope they maintain this for the following seasons, because you don't need to explain anything if it's not explained in the game. Don't explain it in the show. We don't need that. And I think that
even if you've not played the games, you don't need that. She jabbed a thing into her heart. Yeah. She got it from a medical box.
They put it above the toilet.
Stupid. She's got a gun that's 6 needles, like, and people just instantly pass out. We know what that's doing. Yeah. You don't need all that pointless shit added.
Out of curiosity,
no midichlorians. They're not little explaining the Force. No midichlorians.
Out of curiosity, Paul, was it the Alana Pierce video? Where you heard about? Was it the Alana Pierce video? Oh, okay, because she mentions it.
No, I can't remember. It was. I watched a few videos. Yeah, I watched Critical's video, and I watch a lot of smaller creators.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So overall, it's a good track, a good series. Yeah. Should probably jump into it. I was hoping it was, because I was never that invested in the games, because I don't like the whole like post-nuclear dystopian bullshit kind of thing in games. But I thought it would make a really good show, so I've been like putting it on my watch list. But then I found out it was Amazon, and I was like, oh no, because they did the Wheel of Time, and they've like, I'm upset with what they did with the Wheel of Time kind of thing. Like, it's watchable.
Very,
you can be
very pleasantly surprised.
What if it was on Peacock?
Well, then I know it'd be a guaranteed banger. Like,
what the fuck is Peacock, dude?
It's funny because like I was actually thinking like because I know that the same characters are going to carry on into the second season. I was actually thinking that they would be a good idea would be if they did like standalone like seasons, kind of like True Detective or Fargo. But I mean, it still works fine. Because there's all these different like locations that I'm not going to spoil anything, but they do like hint to show where they're going next. But like, there's all these other like who's on the East Coast? Is it 4? They're on the East Coast.
I don't
Boston. One of them is. I know Fallout 2 or 3. One of them's in like
Vegas
San Francisco.
is around the Hoover Dam. Boston is 4.
Boston is 4. Okay, right. Yeah. So like, and instead of like explaining a way that they get to Boston, having
Washington
like a complete new like set of characters, but I'm fine with what they're doing.
That's good.
Because honestly, like after this season, you're not going to want Walton Goggins off your screen.
That's cool.
That first scene he's in, and there's like 3 bandits.
Oh my god,
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I won't go into it, but
it's not a spoiler. When he shows up, it's great.
Yeah.
Imagine a really sexy and cool Ace Ventura.
Okay.
With
I'm
a
aroused.
Real dark twist.
Right.
He was banging, and I didn't know anything about all of this, and that they're like
he's a very handsome man too, so
yeah, but he has no face. They took it off.
He has no nose. He has no nose, and you're oddly into no nose.
Smell awful.
Puns. So yes, 2 thumbs up from you both.
What I love is there's a lot of really great cameos. Like Matt Berry's in it.
Oh, really?
Is he?
Yeah, Matt Berry shows up. And Fred Armisen shows up for a small bit part. He's the DJ that you hear every now and again. He shows up for one small scene, and it's like, if you've ever watched Portlandia, if either of you've seen that show, it's a wonderful show. If you've ever, it used to be on Hulu, but now there's a YouTube channel. I'll link it to both of you because I think you both really like it.
Okay.
But Fred Armisen shows up, and he basically is a character from Portlandia again, and but Matt Berry plays Cogsworth, the robot.
Okay.
So, but
cool.
his scene
it gave us a little coming soon, and it showed like Mr. Handy and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm watching the next. I just haven't. Like,
Yeah, no,
if I'm
it's
watching it
great.
with someone, I can't.
You're
just
gonna be
go and
very
binge
pleased
it.
with him too.
This
Like
episode's
small
like
scene.
over an hour long as well.
Wait, what?
The first episode is over an hour long.
Yeah, I think it's just the first episode's that long because
That's pretty common for pilots, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first episode did so well, just trying to get your attention because the next season, like they'll explore more of the brothers, Brotherhood of Steel, and there's some interesting stuff that they do with well, I'm gonna wait for you guys to watch it.
For me to
We can
watch
always
it.
we can revisit this when both of you have gone.
You like horror movies, Brian? I don't think I know Pulp is a fan.
I usually avoid them. Like the last one I watched was probably A Quiet Place, and I did enjoy it. But normally horror movies are like 99% jump scares, which just annoy me.
What about like gory ones?
Not a fan of them usually.
This is like high on the gore.
I don't mind gore, to be
high on
clear,
the
but I don't seek it out, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
There's a lot of gore. Like if you're,
I'm sure I'll be fine with that. It's mostly jump scares.
So I think the only thing, no, there's no jump scares.
It's not believable. It's shit exploding.
Yeah,
yeah, it's literally like playing the game. How much gore there is, because like my brother-in-law, told us that it was pretty surprisingly gory, which I'm assuming means he probably showed his kids.
Right.
I was
like anytime. So
I was shocked.
Anytime, but I kind of was expecting it because like anytime you're doing like something,
it's Prime.
Yeah.
I mean,
if anything,
is there
that
not
gives
a lot
them
of gore on Prime?
Yeah, no. If anything, that gives them more free reign because they're not reviewed in the same way that television is.
Someone must have had the bloody best work.
That's one of the benefits
but they want
of
as
having
many
it on
people to
streaming
watch
only.
it as possible. It does make me feel good about the Henry Cavill stuff, though. Like, it shows that when they've got a team behind who cares about the property, they can make good shit.
True.
It's also they had the creator, the creative director working on it too, which I believe did the same was with The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows Halo that when you have the creative team working on it and people who like the series or like the games, Halo, that it actually ends up being
I'm waiting for Brian to tell us how much he enjoyed Halo again.
No. It's like I understand the whole Halo argument thing because like it's like with the whole Warhammer thing. Like if you're really into the lore, you care about the lore and you care about the thing. Yeah. The funny thing with the Halo series though is it's clearly an adaptation that wasn't made for the Halo fans and is resonating really well with non-Halo fans. Like it's at 73% on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. Like most people actually like it. It's only the like hardcore Halo fans that hate it. And when I watch,
I'm a Halo fan, and I have no interest in watching it.
When I watch adaptions, I always separate it from the original source material to begin with. Like I never go in with the assumption that it's going to be a one-to-one unless it is explicitly stated by the creators of said adaptation. I.e. with The Last of Us, where they're like, yeah, we're going to make it as close to the game as possible, kind of thing.
That's what I want, though. If I'm a fan of the game...
If that's what you want, that's what you want, but you should never expect that just because there's going to be an adaptation.
I like the Doom movie.
No, the Doom movie is just so silly. Here's what I think, is that with The Last of Us, they did a really great job with adapting it. I mean, The Last of Us, though, to be fair, that is like a movie when you're playing through it.
It's a lot easier to adapt,
What they did with Fallout and is that one, it's its own standalone story. Like there's influences from the games, but it is its own standalone story. And I remember when we were discussing this before, like when they just released the trailer, that we all agreed that there's so much content, there's so much in the world of Fallout that they could have done really anything. They could have followed one of the games, or they could have made their own story, which is what they did. Is they went with their own story, and what works best with it. And don't worry, Rag, I'm not spoiling. It's not over. Like I'm coming in now for no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil this at all because I want you guys to watch it too, and I would like to discuss it with you when you have. What I think they did great with it is one, they had a creative team that worked on it that actually enjoyed the original material. They had people like Walton Goggins. I watched an interview with him. He said his son was a big fan of the game, but he didn't play it, and he refused to play the game after he got cast because he wanted to go in and just like immerse himself into the role. He didn't want to be influenced by the game.
Yeah.
But you could tell he had a lot of appreciation. What went cool for his son too.
That's
Think
acting,
about that.
though. That's a little
Yeah.
different to writing, right?
No, but he didn't want to have any kind of like outside influence from the game. Like, just he wanted to invest, like, trust in the writers. That's basically what he was implicating.
And luckily, the writers did.
And the writers
care about
had
the
a
rest
lot
of
of appreciation, and they had the creative director of the games working on it. So what worked best in the favor of Fallout is not only did they, I mean, obviously you're always going to have your hardcore fans who are just going to be upset with something. They're always going to find something to complain about, is that there's going to be lore inconsistencies. Fine, that's your right to be upset. I'm not that big of a fan, or I don't know that much about the lore, so it didn't impact me. I didn't notice it. It didn't take away from the experience.
I played them all, and I'm like, this is genuine.
You're gonna like it.
Feels like it's in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
nothing is out of
And
place.
if there's some changes, come on.
Yeah, and they are
like
minor ones. I've read up about some of them, and they are some of the most insignificant. It's the woke brigade again complaining about stuff, and it's just like, yeah, okay.
Right, and again, you have the creative director working on it. Like, clearly he signed off on those changes. He was fine with that. So if he's okay with it, then why is it like, whatever? And you're gonna be blue in the face trying to argue.
Room as well. I think this is a good franchise to be doing that and doing your own story, not taking the main story of a beloved game and character and changing it. It's like, here's the world. This is our story in the world that makes sense in the world, but we can still do what we want. This is our character.
Yeah,
we don't have to be this thing.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like what they did with Fallout. It's very much like such a great property to work with, because it gave them more creative freedom. They already had this outline from the game. Yeah. And they made their own story. And when you go in watching it, like I said, I wasn't like a crazy like invested fan. It wasn't like I didn't like I do like Fallout. I think I just never really got around to like playing them. I was more playing Skyrim when I was younger. So, but it made me want to go back and play them, because it's like, oh shit, there's some really cool
Fallout
stuff.
4.
Yeah, like I reinstalled all of it.
If you're gonna go back to New Vegas or Fallout 3, wait till the mods are fixed, because some of that shit is kind of unplayable.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas is a crashy piece of shit without the fan patch. It's an old game.
Mine crashed.
We have
I'm playing it vanilla right now, but it crashes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is that it's unlike The Last of Us. What Fallout thrives in is that now if you've seen it, you've never played a game before, you know about it, you never played the games before, or you don't even know about it, and you see this and you're like, wow, this is really cool. You find out that it's a game series. You have all this other content now that you can go investigate yourself, go through and play. Unlike The Last of Us, unfortunately, where
you're playing the show.
You're playing the show. So if you go into The Last of Us, sure, there might be some extra stuff that you can take a look around and get in, indulge in. But once you've seen the show, you don't need to play the game.
Yeah.
So, but with Fallout, like, you got 1, you got 2, you got 3, New Vegas 4, and you have the mods whenever they get fixed. And you have all this extra stuff, and now you can expand your knowledge on what the show's already introduced you to, which is such a great way to go about a series adaptation for a game series. Is that this is now you can bring in more fans, and more people are going to want to play these. And we've already seen it with the numbers. Like I said, I went on Steam, and while I was streaming last night, like, I had people popping into Fallout in my corner, and I'm like, there you go. Like, everyone, like, I'm not the only person. A lot of people really want to play this game again, and it reinvigorated people's interest in it. So it was a brilliant.
My girlfriend picked up some of the games on the sale because they were £4. And she'd never played them before. She's like, oh, which one?
They're dirt cheap.
I was just like, just play 4. It's more modern. You don't have to worry about anything. Just play 4. Even though I have opinions on which is the best, I don't think anyone fully agrees on the best Fallout game. Because I can't stand 76. I just can't, but people love that game. People hate it on 4, but I really enjoy 4. I love 3. It might be because it was the first one I played, but people say that New Vegas is better. There's no one is like, this
Everyone's
is the best
gonna have
one.
their favorite. New Vegas, the reason why I like it was I played. So this is like a little funny anecdote. It's quick. when I played Fallout 3, the only exposure I had to a Bethesda game was I played a little bit of Morrowind when it came out on the Xbox, but I was really young when that came out. So I didn't know how to play it and I like gave up really quickly. So I didn't know Elder Scrolls and Fallout were connected. I was working at GameStop, and at the time when Fallout 3 had come out, it was right before Fallout New Vegas.
A woman in a gaming store. It's woke.
No, I worked there.
Oh my God.
That's woke.
I was the girl at the game store, and they let us borrow used games to take them home, and like, so it's a great way to find like the employees to learn about the games.
Right.
So I brought it home, and I used to, even though I play a lot of horror games now, I used to be a big weenie, and I got scared at one point, and I brought it back.
Right.
So I didn't know that they were connected. Then New Vegas came out, and I was told it was going to be like an expansion, but I knew Obsidian from playing Knights of the Old Republic 2. And I really liked Knights of the Old Republic 2. And I bought that, and I got so like, I was balls deep in that game. I was so into the writing. And even as I've been playing it again, like I'm remembering like how great the writing is in New Vegas. I do have 4. The only negative thing I heard about 4 was it was boring. That was it.
The main story was boring, but the main story for 3 is boring. The main story for New Vegas is pointless.
You could say that about anything.
It's a Bethesda game. Like most people just go off on the 10,000 side quests, and then they go, "Oh shit, there's a mainline thing that I'm supposed to be doing. I'll get to it," kind of thing. And that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. But to summarize,
you don't even question why your father is suddenly Irish now. Wasn't I in Washington? What?
He transformed into an Irishman. I'm so confused.
That's where the Irish come from. Like Ireland doesn't exist as a country. It's just Irish people just appear.
They just appear.
They did.
But to summarize, 2 thumbs up from the pair of you then, basically, and you recommend it.
And I think maybe if both of you have finished watching it by the next episode, we can at least discuss
get a spoiler cast in.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Yeah, that would be cool. Moving on then, Peachy, you want to talk about Shadows of Doubt?
Shadows of Doubt. This game came out of fucking nowhere for me, and nobody knows about it, and you all should know about it.
I have that on my wish list. I had it before you mentioned it, and I was thinking of picking up, so I have it in my cart right now. I'm going to pick it up after this.
Okay. Well, I played during a Steam Next Fest. I got a load of demos and I played it for a bit. When I do Next Fest demos, I give them an amount of time and then I move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get much time with it, where I was like, oh, this idea is interesting. Now, what it is it's an immersive sim, randomly generated murder mystery detective noir.
Okay.
That's a lot of things I just said, but put simply, you spawn and randomly murders will happen, and you need to find clues to figure out who done it. And then you go, okay, it was this person, they did it here. I found the murder weapon. If you found it, I've arrested the person. If you did arrest the person, and you get paid for that. It's in this dystopian. I think it's British because they have bobbies and telephone booths, but it's also that like cyberpunk noir street feel, which is all random. The map is completely randomly generated.
Right.
Yeah.
And you get all these tools. You can look for fingerprints. You can like, oh, why is there a size 10 footprint here when the people who live here have size 8 and 6, whatever? It's just really cool, and it is so fucking difficult. Do you want to know how many murders I've solved? Not
0.
including the tutorial.
None.
I have solved none. I have solved absolutely none. And every time I'm like, bollocks, start again.
So is there like a time limit? Like what happens if you don't solve them?
There kind of is a time limit, but isn't a time limit.
Okay.
So there's no time limit for getting the right person arrested and stuff, but certain clues degrade after time.
Right.
Like
okay.
if you're looking for fingerprints in a busy place, you're probably not going to find the fingerprints you want.
Right.
footprints. But like you can break into houses and stuff. It's like a police state. You know, the higher levels up, the echelon levels. You're probably not supposed to be there. People won't talk to you. You can ask people questions. Do you know this person? You show them a picture. Where'd you find the picture? Well, I broke into this guy's house and I found his birth certificate. So I found his full name, and then I found this ID card for work, which had his photo on. And then I went to his work and found his employee record, and then I can ask people. It's just like there are limitations because it is all randomly generated. It's not like hand sculpted or anything like that, and there's only a certain amount of clues you can find to join things. It's an indie game. It is a small. I don't know if it's a small team or one person doing it. I don't know. It's huge in idea, but you know there are limitations to what a smaller team can do, and I really want people to play this because if there's more money for the next one, it would be even better. But right now, as it is, you can lose yourself for hours just walking around streets, looking at your watch. What time is it? Oh, they start work at 9. I could intercept them on their way to work. There's just so many threads going on, and it really bit me.
For anyone interested in this, it's on sale right now for $14.99 on Steam. So this does actually sound very interesting.
If it sounds interesting,
yes,
pick it up. There is some jank, there is some bugs.
Right now it's on sale, so I would recommend if you're interested now to pick it up.
Yeah. Don't expect to solve any murders whatsoever, because but there's side jobs, like somebody's lost their dog or a shoe or something. And also on top of that, you need to feed yourself. You need to drink water. You need, like, if you take damage, you need to heal yourself. You need to do the normal day-to-day life things. You've got to sleep.
So it's got minor survival aspects then.
You have to take a shower. Otherwise, some people won't talk to you because they won't speak to dirty riffraff that smell.
Right.
It is so fucking cool, and not enough people know about it.
The way I would describe the way this game looks like is the first 48 Minecraft edition.
It's
with the graphics style.
It is 3D pixels.
Yeah.
It's got this lovely style though. It's proper cyberpunk noir.
Oh no, it looks wonderful. Like this is not. That's like a complete compliment. Like I get like that, you know, the blocky like look. That's what kind of turned me on to it. I had it already in my wish list, and then I saw you mention that you wanted to talk about it. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna wait until he talks about this because I'm interested.
If it sounds interesting, just give it a go. Like 14 quid. Like by the time you've played, if you play it and you don't like it, you can probably get a refund. It won't take you too long to figure out if you like it and do the tutorial mission. But I guarantee, if that sounds interesting, you will immediately lose 4 hours for the first time you play it. There's something special there, something really special, which is slightly dampened by it being a smaller team, and you have to, you know, your expectations need to come in a little bit. It's phenomenal. It's a brilliant idea, and I've really enjoyed it. Sorry, I just needed to hype this indie game up because I just want to see more people experience what we could actually get out of complex algorithms.
Right. Yeah. No, you got me more interested in it, so it's definitely something I'm going to be picking up myself.
Yeah, it does actually sound really cool, and it's 25% off.
It just looks so charming.
Oh, it is, yeah. But it's got a polish to it as well. It does have this visual polish to it. Like the middle of the day, it's proper noir as well. The middle of the day, like, you know, the sun should be out, and it's foggy and pretty dark. The sun's up there somewhere.
Yeah, it's like it just has like you could just see just from the trailer itself. There's a certain charm that this game has to it, and from what it's like, I didn't know it was randomly generated, like you explained. So that's another facet that's
everything is
intriguing to me.
The city, the murders just kind of happen. Like they'll just happen. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to go there because there'll be a murder. Like they'll just happen. Right. And sometimes nothing will happen, and you just got to live your life and get food and do odd jobs and get your social credit score up, so you can leave for the island. And which you'll probably I want to leave for the island because I'm pretty sure it's bullshit where they kill you at the end. But
right.
It's fascinating. It's a fascinating game, and I don't know how you put all those threads together.
Right.
It's really good. Check it out.
100%.
Good shit. Good shit.
Next.
$14.99, 14 quid. I should check it out. I'm gonna pick it up myself after this is over.
Do it.
Nice. So, how are you two on time? Because obviously we've got a whole host of other subjects. Plus, I wanted to talk about No Rest of the Wicked.
Well, let's talk about No Rest for the Wicked for sure.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I will look
Kevin
through
already
the
left
filler.
for
Look through the filler,
Yeah.
right? Sound. So, No Rest for the Wicked. I as I mentioned before we went live, I am currently writing the script for the review. So, first of all, apologies to anyone who eventually watches the review. I'm going to be repeating some of the things here, but in a condensed version. But No Rest for the Wicked is what happens if you take the two types of action RPG, because you've got the isometric hack and slash dungeon crawler loot focused ones, and then you've got the action combat RPGs like your God of Wars, your Dark Souls, your Elden Rings, your Monster Hunters, things like that. And they've put those two together. So rather than just clicking on everything and getting carpal tunnel, you've got this isometric view. But it's like, imagine you took a Dark Souls game, but you moved the camera from third person and made it isometric top-down view. The combat is otherwise pretty much exactly the same. It is Dark Souls combat. But then it's done in the style of Ori and the Blind Forest or Ori and the Will of the Wisps, like this painted art style. It looks fucking beautiful. Now, this is an early access game. You don't get the entire campaign. An educated guess based on like my past English literature qualifications. It's the standard, it appears to be the standard structure of beginning, middle, of end. And at the moment in early access, you get the beginning kind of thing. What feels like the beginning in terms of structure. There's boss fights. This is me playing at the end of my stream last night. The very first boss fight, I won't show anything beyond this point because this was in the trailer anyway. I'm fighting him naked with just my fists at level 3 for poops and giggles. So
Fuck's sake, Brian, you had to go Brian on this, didn't you?
well, I beat the game.
Did you just
and
fall off?
I did, yeah, because like
fall off the map?
it goes to that edge all the time, and you can't knock him off. Unfortunately, you can other mobs in other aspects of the game, but in that arena boss fight, you can't knock him off. And I wanted to try, but
Yeah.
originally I made the second character because I was like, oh, I played a fast dex character basically, and I wanted to see what being in full armor with a big two-handed claymore would feel like. And I discovered very, very quickly that I hate fat rolling. So I just took off all of my kit and I was like, oh, I'll try with the sword. And then just before I got to the arena, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to try and see if I can just punch him to death. And in the end, I did. After about an hour and a half of trying, I did actually beat the first boss, just punching him to death. And you could see the state of my mind slowly deteriorate, and yet galaxy brain all at the same time. Like, I noticeably improve in this fight. And like, when I beat him, I only get hit 3 times. I'm pretty sure I can no-hit run the first boss. But yeah, I digress. So it's a game that has the loot aspect of it and the crafting aspect of it. You can make gear bespoke to your build. Your build is catered by the gear that you choose to use. So in my original playthrough, I'm actually using these dual daggers, which, like, instead of a regular backstab, it actually sneaks up behind people and slits their throat, which I think is really, really cool. Like, you've got all these custom animations. All the animations are specific to the weapons that you choose to use. You can then craft different skills onto the weapons as well. Some of them will have skills built into them, like a special kind of dashing jab, for example, or whatnot. I end up with my daggers taking a skill, extracting it from a hammer that had this throwing skill on it, and I ended up putting it into my daggers. And then I put a gem into my daggers that gave them fire damage, like they were permanently enchanted by fire. So I'm like throwing these fire daggers that would boomerang like the hammer originally did, and I made this like build like myself and things like that. And you've got like the fashion souls aspect of it. You can obviously wear really light armor, you can mix and match it. If you wear a lot, it will make you more encumbered. The more encumbered you are, the slower, or the dash itself will change into a roll. And if you get really, really heavy gear, it turns into the fat roll as we know it in like the Souls genre. And it's just, if you're a Dark Souls fan or a Souls-like fan, but you want to see things...
Sorry, that was really greedy, past Brian.
Yeah, no, I did do some greedy shit. But yeah, like if you're into Souls-like combat, you're going to really, really like this game. But if you also like the idea that you can really go ham in customizing your build, like you do in, say, Path of Exile, Last Epoch, Diablo, etc., you're also going to really, really like this game. It also has player housing. So after you defeat this boss, you go into the city that's just behind it, and you can buy a house, and you can fill it with crap, basically. But it's actually like, it's not like, say, like you see in MMOs often with housing, where it's all aesthetic. You're just trying to make something pretty, like in Final Fantasy XIV. You can do some really cool roleplay shit. You can actually make workstations, storage. The storage comes in different forms. You can have cupboards, wardrobes, chests, etc., and actually store things in them. So you got that aspect, which I think is really cool, because I always thought it was a missed opportunity when you have player housing and it's just purely aesthetic. So the fact that they've developed on that is really, really cool. What I would say is a little bit annoying is you have to gather resources. And the idea is that there's this like feedback loop where you'll go back to the areas that you've explored that get progressively harder the more or further you get in through the game. So for example, after you beat this boss, the entire zone before it pretty much doubles in difficulty. And if you don't upgrade your weapons, which require you to also upgrade people in the town, because you get like blacksmiths, merchants, you can upgrade the merchants and visibly see their stalls upgrade and stuff like that as well. But you have to get like 10 pine wood, and you get one piece of wood by chopping one tree, and you're chopping that one tree with your copper axe, which takes 10 swings to chop it down. So the whole gathering of materials is quite arduous, especially in early game. What's worse is that when you do get those materials and then you hand them in to build and upgrade your blacksmith from level 0 to level 1, is that there's a timer to actually build it. And it starts at an hour, and then you get to level 2, and that's a 2-hour timer, and then it's a 4-hour timer for level 3. And it's like, listen, if I just spent 20 hours playing the game and constantly having to go back to places I've already been to gather materials, I don't want to then have to wait for a timer. I just want it to be upgraded because I've already invested that time. So obviously it's early access. That might be something they change. Another thing that some folks have got issues with is, and this is something they have very recently changed. They literally did a hot fix last night, and that's the fall damage. Now, as you can imagine, with an isometric view, you could fall off things very, very easily. There's like quite a lot of verticality. Like you've got the usual like puzzle solving kind of stuff that you would have in, say, like a Souls-like, but it's like dialed up to 11 because of the engine. Basically, you've got balancing on beams and things like that, jumping from giant platforms in the sky where you could potentially fall to your death. But they kind of overtuned the fall damage. Like you've got John Wick falling down 20,000 sets of stairs in the last movie, and he gets back up and does it again. If you fall off a stool in this game, you die. Basically, like it was kind of bad. And at the end of the day, you could look at it and go, well, if I fell off, that's me being bad at the game. Sure, I agree, 100%. And some people take a lot of umbrage with that perspective that I have of it. But I can understand that likewise, the literal perspective you have in the game can make it difficult to navigate such puzzles. Like at one point I was in like a sewer system and I had to drop down onto a pipe, and I completely missed it because it looked like I was in line with it, but no, I fell down the side of it because you're looking at this fixed angle. I do think it would help if they perhaps
sticky ledges,
not sticky ledges, but just allowed you to move the camera.
Oh, you can't move the camera.
No, it's fixed isometric view.
I was just looking at the store page, and I'm because like I like to, like, while you're discussing these games, I like to look at some of the reviews, see, and I always like zero in on the negatives because I want to see what people are complaining about.
Yeah.
And I did see a couple about fixed camera angle. The isometric kind of makes it a little bit janky, and that a couple even said that it would probably work better as an over the shoulder in that aspect, but. I don't know about that. I haven't played it.
Souls though, like, oh, I'm used to the camera over the shoulder.
Yeah. So whenever I hear Souls though, like if you're gonna have any form of platforming, I feel like some kind of like the manual camera
depth can be really
needs to be there. Like I agree with that at least.
But the thing is, it's probably tuned so hey, you can't go this way, and then if they reduce the damage, suddenly you can break the game. And with turning the camera, they suddenly need to render another 50% of the game.
Yes.
No, you're probably right. I
That's
mean,
why I
and
was
it's an
like
indie
sticky
game.
ledges, so you don't immediately go off. It just stops you a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one because I do think adding a camera that you can just turn, just being able to revolve the camera, I think would make a difference. But like you said, technically, it's not as simple as just unlocking the camera. Like when games are designed, especially with a fixed camera, there's usually like the scenes that you're in are usually hiding things as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not that simple as a lot of people would believe. Like armchair developers, basically. Overall, though, I think it's a very good game. I have, as part of writing my review, looked at some of the Steam reviews, and they seem to fall into three categories. Performance issues. I'm obviously running a 1080 GTX 1080, which is a relatively old card, but in terms of rasterization, it's pretty much on par with like a 3070. Yeah, it's still beefy. It was like a flagship card back then, so it's on par with like a 3070. You just can't do RTX. With that in mind, and me streaming and running OBS at the same time, I play the game at 1440, and I can get 30 frames if I bring down like the. I think dynamic resolution is the wrong term, but
this
this
is an action game though.
I mean, I would prefer 60, but I'm streaming. Like, if I wasn't streaming, I could probably bring it up to like 45%. Yeah.
Okay.
So I could probably bring it up to 45 frames, but I got it to 30. I had to, like, the defaults, there's the dynamic resolution thing. You can slide them down. I literally lowered them by like 10% on the x-axis and y-axis, and that gave me 10 frames, basically. But people have remarked that it can be like really hard to get anything beyond 60 frames on like a 3080, 3090, things like that. There are reviews like that, and that's valid criticism. But at the same time, it's very clearly marketed and labeled as early access. And I think if you're going to make a purchasing decision for an early access game, you should expect it to be unoptimized.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you should expect and give leeway, but they are still selling the game. And that, for someone who's looking at games, that is a valuable review.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's invalid, but it's more to address the reviews where someone's bought it and they're like, oh, the performance bad and therefore I hate it. It's like, well, it probably was going to be bad anyway until it's at like 1.0. The other two reviews that I see...
Hopefully, Brian, have you seen games in current year?
Hopefully.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
these are relatively like reputable devs. I'm quite confident, and like I said, they've already addressed a lot of the issues within literally 24 hours of
Yeah, I'm
like,
looking
launch.
at some of the reviews, and this one's like mentioning like enemies are overtuned, that they felt like. One that was interesting is fists are doing more damage than the actual weapons. So things like this that could be tuned later, like from the devs.
Yeah, so there's things like that. The people who are saying that the stuff does barely any damage, I think they all fell into the similar trap that I did, and I overcame it quickly by basically getting upgrades, and they probably aren't. So a lot of the reviews that are negative, I think are literally down to one. It's not clear that the area that you just left. So as I mentioned, once you defeat this boss, the area that you were just clearing becomes significantly harder. It doesn't help that I beat this boss originally when I was about level 6. When I went back to this area to do like bounties and like explore what I hadn't already explored, I noticed the gear that I was getting was for level 11. It was a minimum level requirement. So I was like, oh, so the game expects me to be about level 11. So I immediately worked out that I was clearly under-leveled for the area. So I went back into the town and upgraded the blacksmith, which took an hour. But after that hour, I then upgraded my gear, and then I destroyed the first area. I just completely destroyed the first area, and that made up for it. So it is a bit of like, they should probably signpost a bit better and articulate a bit better that the previous areas do get harder every time you progress a significant story beat. So basically, whenever you do a main boss. That's the problem
with Get Good, isn't it? The game needs to telegraph that to you, that you need to get good right now.
Exactly.
You know,
and that's another reason I think some of the reviews are bad. It's people who are just bad at the game because it's a Souls-like, and they didn't quite expect that. They thought they were going to get an action RPG where you click on things, and then it's like, oh, I'm getting my ass handed to me because it's a Souls-like, and you've got to be good and you got to be patient. And it was like I was saying towards the end of the stream, when I do eventually beat the boss, you see that I actually step back and I get good. I get more patient. I bait out attacks a bit more. I don't just swing after the mob is swung, going, oh yes, here's my opportunity, and then I get myself in shitty positioning. I actually take a lot more time, and to the point where I know, like I said, I can probably no-hit it. So I think some of the reviews are literally just people being bad at games and being upset about it. And again, that's valid. But at the same time, if I was reading the reviews, I'd be like, okay, it sounds like they were just bad at it. And they're allowed to not like it for not being bad at it, but it's probably because they're just bad at it, kind of thing. Like, if you're into
not the
Souls,
game
like,
they were looking for, right?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm not super into Souls, like,
yeah,
when things are more like difficult than I'm expecting for a Souls type gameplay, that kind of thing. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
right, okay, this isn't for me.
yeah.
Things need to be told to players. They
Yeah.
like, not everyone likes the same games. Not everyone likes difficulty in the same things.
Mhm.
Like the way
100%.
you two enjoy the difficulty of Souls, I'm like, this is janky and fucking shit.
Yeah.
But
No,
I usually
100%.
know that going into the game.
Exactly, 100%. And they do market it. They I think the creators have literally been like, we've taken a lot of inspiration from Souls, like, and a bunch of other games. They've explicitly said this is meant to be a challenging game. It's not a game that you want to go in and just be like, oh yeah, you know, I'll just kill some time killing bad things. Like, no, if you don't pay attention, you will get your shit kicked in, kind of thing.
I mean, look, it's a lot of expectations from the audience, right? Because I'm looking at that going, oh, that's really pretty. Yeah, that's the kind of game I play. And then I saw you doing the combat. I'm like, oh, it's a Souls-like.
Yeah.
But I'd not heard anything about it before you showed it. So.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. If you're looking for an entire experience, hold off until 1.0, because you probably only get about a third of the game. There is the housing aspect and the upgrade aspect, which adds a bit of time to your, or adds playtime because you're exploring more of the world. There's loads of secrets and things like that. There is replayability because you can do different builds, different classes, kind of things like that as well. There is currently one end game mechanic, which is called the Serum Crucible. So that's the race that you are. You're this legendary race of hyper uber human, essentially. It's why your character kind of looks like Popeye with his big beef castle long gorilla arms. You also have a dump truck butt if you play as a female model, which is what I did.
Female model, it's woke, Brian.
Yeah, it's woke, hella woke, and you get this
woke.
big ass butt.
Not interested in this.
The first 6 hours of the game, I was running in just a hat and gloves because I wanted to have the fast dash. And because it's like a looter, like Diablo and stuff like that, it's largely based on RNG. I would say that's probably also a weak point of the game. Is when you start, you don't pick what class you want to start with. You initially start with whatever weapon you find first. You find no weapon. It's like Ark Survival Evolved. You wake up on a beach and you start punching crabs, basically. And then something drops, maybe a mace. I got a mace as my first weapon, a one-handed mace in my first playthrough. On this playthrough, I got a two-handed claymore, which was convenient because that's what I wanted to test. So at the very, very beginning of the game, you could find yourself playing something that you don't really want to play. But there's spells in it. You get staves. They can throw fireballs, lightning novas, stuff like that. Again, you can customize it. You could do a melee staff build and stuff like that if you really wanted to, which is actually something I kind of want to do because the staff was fun. But yeah, the end game content, they intend on adding substantially more. There's this... Do you remember in Bloodborne, you had like the grave system that would take you to like a procedurally generated dungeon kind of thing? Like they've got...
Oh yeah, the chalice dungeons.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. You've got these statues. Only one of them's active at the moment, and it will take you into this like a 10-layered dungeon, and each layer is random. So once you do it, and do it again, it's random again. But it's like a room.
Diablo 2?
No, not quite. It's more like a room, and sometimes it's a puzzle that you have to do and platforming bullshit like that. Sometimes it's just really hard bosses. Maybe there's like a mini boss, and then on the 10th floor there's like I've forgotten the name. They're like Echo Knights or something, and it's basically supposed to, in terms of lore, be like an ancient Serum who was a massive badass. And then eventually there'll be another one that you can go after you do that. And then I think they intend on doing 5. Again, the lore implies that there's 5 of them. And as part of the early access, they're saying they're going to add other end game. The one thing I don't know, and I'm still unsure about, is the model they're intending on going for at release. Because I mentioned there's player housing. There's lots of grinding. They clearly want you to spend a lot of time in the game outside of just killing things. They're adding multiplayer. They're adding PvP. They're adding various endgame. There are daily quests. There are weekly quests. There are MMO light things. So I don't know if at 1.0 they intend on doing live service. Not necessarily like, oh, we're trying to sell you stuff.
Timer. that does.
It does imply
Yeah.
that, doesn't it? And with these MMO light aspects. So I do think they're going to go live service, and if they do, I'm okay with that because it means you're going to get cool, dope content, hopefully consistently. At the same time, I'm also okay that if it's at 1.0, maybe they only do an expansion or two or a DLC or two kind of thing. But then if that's the case, I want them to get rid of those fucking timers. Like, I don't want to wait 4 hours for my blacksmith.
Oh, you will,
after
Brian. You can
yeah.
just go and buy a bag of crystals at the store.
Or a bag of crystals. I don't think they'll go down that route again because it's like the Ori devs. Who knows at the end of the day? But I don't think they will. But either way, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Pulp, I think you're going to love it. The combat is so fun. You can, like I said, go full on fashion Souls as well and dress up like a complete donkey, or you can look like a badass or just be naked like I am with a mustache.
Yeah, I was telling you, my Kevin was really interested. He was watching a few streamers play it. I think he stopped by your stream too, probably.
I think I remember seeing him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He lurks.
Yeah.
But I know he was really interested in it, but I think he's like still like a little bit like unsure.
If you're like a hobbyist, I suppose is the best way to phrase it. Like, I'm someone who goes ball deep in like action RPGs, then sure, it's relatively cheap. Hashtag ad, I got the key for free, but it's because I kindly asked for it because I wanted to desperately play it. You get about 20 hours of content if you were to do everything. Technically the end game is repeatable and it's very challenging. So you can get even more hours out of it just trying to play different builds and farm it out. But I would say you'd probably get a good 20 to 25 hours out of it for your money at the moment.
Okay.
With the promise of more coming out. But yeah, it's only like the first third of the storyline. And it's in total technically 3 zones, I would say. So you got your first zone, there's another zone, and then there's on the opposite side of the city another zone, and that's it. But you can see they're going to add probably like maybe another 3. There could be some overworld, some underworld, who knows? Like, there could be a lot of things. But either way, visually, it's beautiful. It's really fun combat.
No, it looks stunning. I've been mesmerized by the animations.
There's some like
I've been
really
like
nice
zoning out, like going like, oh
yeah,
it's so pretty.
Really nice vistas and stuff, especially when you're in the city. And again, there's so much verticality. So you're climbing up like giant towers and stuff, looking down on like an entire city and stuff like that. It looks absolutely phenomenal. If you don't like platforming, probably give it a miss because there is a lot of it. And if you don't like Souls combat, you love action RPGs, give it a miss. If you love Souls combat but you don't like the loot grind finding and like RNG aspect of those types of games, probably give it a miss. But if you like the sound of all those things combined together, then you've got yourself what I call in my punchline of my intro on the review, a super hybrid action RPG. And that's it from me about the game.
Yeah, it looks very beautiful. I
think we're about to see me beat the boss as well.
Is there any game you want to gush about that not enough people are playing, Pulp? Because me and Brian have both done one.
Yeah, I know. Not currently, no, because I'm not playing anything new.
Well, New Vegas, no one's ever played that.
No one's ever played New Vegas. I mean, I've been playing Sekiro right now because I went through. I was doing all of my Elden Ring prep for the DLC because it comes out in June. So I went through. I bought it on PS5. Back like when I got my PS5 and only now decided to go through and have like a second player ready to go for the DLC because like you guys have no idea how pumped I am for Shadow of the Erdtree. I have 2 copies of it already. I have 2 copies of Elden Ring. I platinumed Elden Ring twice. So I just platinumed it the other day and I went straight into Sekiro and I'm not going to gush because I'm still not there at the gushing stage, but I will talk about my experience.
Gushing, everyone.
So when it comes to gaming, me, parrying and stealth do not get along. Those are like the 2 things I do not do.
It's a very parry.
So when I
game.
say I've been the most intimidated by
that's how I would
Sekiro.
Describe that game.
Yes. So like I've like my for a long time I've been getting asked when am I going to play Sekiro. I'm like, I don't know because I am the most intimidated by this fucking game.
I hate parrying.
Like,
there's parrying in No Rest of the Wicked. I never use it because I suck at it.
Dude, I suck. Like, I remember, like, I was playing Elden Ring and I brought out like the little buckler and I'm like, I'm gonna go parry Melania, and I didn't do it one time, and I was like, you know what, guys, it's impossible. If I can't do it, it's impossible. So
Yeah.
parrying doesn't exist. So I'm like more of I'm a dex build usually. Like, I like to run around, like I'm all over the place.
Yeah, same.
So this has been like me facing my fears, like, and all like facing that discomfort of like being right up in there. So right now I'm at the Genichiro fight, like the first time or after the beginning.
Mhm.
And my God, this last week of streaming, I've been like playing that, and like I would be done and my back would just be all tense from how stressed I was from this game.
Mm.
However, the amount of like satisfaction I get after I've been like getting through it, after I would like I one shot the first boss.
Right, nice.
And
nice.
that was like a big deal for me.
Apparently, the first
like,
one's like, yeah, apparently, like one shot as in you beat it on the first attempt. In that respect.
Okay.
Yeah, I one shot him, and I went in, and at one point, like it's on my stream too, where I go, "Isn't this a game about parrying?" And just because I'm running around doing exactly what I usually do, is I don't go in, like I can't do it.
Yeah,
and there's been some funny stuff coming out of it, but like I said, I'm not at the gushing stage yet, because right now I'm still like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I
have 3 bosses right now I have to fight.
Yeah. I'm the same as you. I've avoided Sekiro because I know it's so parry heavy. It's like
it's
I know
such a beautiful game though. Oh my God.
like I really want to play it, but I'm like, I'm gonna suck at it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I actually like that.
The thing is, I with parrying, it's one of those things that you have to learn to do, and for some reason, I don't have the patience. I don't know why, but specifically with parrying, I don't have the patience to go up to a mob and let them hit me again and again and again until I get the parry right, until I get the timing right. I'd rather just not get hit, so that's why I usually play like in No Rest of the Wicked. I play a dex builder and I'm dashing.
I have like 2 different play styles. Like, I'm very, very, very cautious, so that does not lend for parrying at all. Like, you don't want to be up in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or I go full on wailing. Like, I just stop. Like, I throw all caution wins. Like, fuck it, and I just like try to see if I could just take them down as quickly as possible. And you see it a lot when I play things like Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
So going in, like, both of these, like, it's so much more strategic that it's like I also, it's like, from what I understand, I went from PS5 to Steam again. So I'm using my Xbox controller, my little Starfield one. So playing through that and having like, yeah.
God, that game was boring.
Yeah, unfortunately. I liked it at first. And then I after I had said like, oh yeah, it's really cool. Like I ate those words so bad. I ate those words so bad. I apologize. But, so going through like transitioning from seeing X to talk and X on the PlayStation controller in comparison, like I had to readjust that. And then I was told by like a few people, like going from Elden Ring to Sekiro was probably the worst decision ever, because you have 2 different play styles in the game. So it's like, that's why I'm like, this is when like the most stressed in a gameplay experience, like, and I bringing out like all that stress too. Like a couple times I'll be like, I suck at this game, man.
Right.
There's a lot of,
because the game is like, this is how you fight, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
And that's the thing, when you can recognize that it's your own mistakes, it makes a difference.
There's a lot of satisfaction when you finally when you finally figure it out. And that's one thing I do appreciate about the game. And I do appreciate that the game is teaching me, and it has been. My only thing is like I've very upfront about this. I'm one of those people, like, I have a very high expectation of myself constantly. So when I play games like this and it's not clicking fast enough for me, I get hard on myself. And then I start making the dumb mistakes, and it's this vicious cycle whenever I play Sekiro. But
Doom Eternal, like, it tells you how to play the game, and if you don't play it that way, you can't progress. But if you play that way, it is so much fun. And I had the same thing with Sekiro.
I feel really cool when I was getting like the parries down. Like It's just like knowing how to get it down. And once you start getting it, you're like, oh man, I feel so fucking cool.
Yeah,
And
it's
as
one of
somebody
those flow
like you,
state
Brian,
things
like
as
who's
well.
not good at it, huh?
It's one of those flow state things. Like once you've learned it and then you've got it, it just naturally occurs. I can never be asked to get
the rhythm
parrying.
of the game.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at rhythm games. So like, because I don't know what it is. Like my brain will just shut down halfway through, and I'll just go like, I hit the wrong button, and it just ruins everything.
Is it rhythm? Because I make music, right? Is that why I prefer that kind of thing?
Yeah. No, it's
those
a rhythm
games,
game for
I
sure.
put on the biggest armor. I get the largest weapon, so I only have to hit a few times to kill
I
something.
honestly think that you might do really well then with it, because it is.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Oh, you played Sekiro?
Yeah.
That's probably why, because it's absolutely a rhythm game. Anytime because you're not trying to like dodge or anything or counting that, you have to pay attention to what their attacks are, and that's the rhythm that you're picking up.
Yeah, well, I went through a spate of let's play some Souls, because everyone's like, streamer boy played the Souls, and I was like, I hate every second. I played Sekiro, and I was like, oh, this is really fucking cool. It does help that the movement is fun and all that stuff too.
You're probably like Liza P,
and
then,
I feel like
heavy.
once I get the pairing like a lot more down, like an understanding of things, like because when I do have it down, I'm having so much fun. I feel so like I feel like a badass, like like while I'm doing, I'm like, oh my god, like I actually can be good at this. It's just one of those like the falls are hard, but the victories are very hot. You get some really highs, like highs are highs, the lows are very low in Sekiro, I've noticed.
It's like that with Souls-likes in general as well. Like you'll find a lot of people, if they can't do a boss after the first few attempts, they'll probably just put the game down. Whereas if you see it as a challenge to yourself, and like I said earlier, recognize that they're probably mistakes that you're making. Like occasionally, sure, there's just in-game bullshit. I get it. Like even in No Rest for the Wicked, there was some in-game bullshit when he did his jump. There's times where he did his jump, would be facing that way, but then the model would move backwards. And I'd be like, what the fuck is that shit kind of thing? Like I clearly dodged in the right direction. That's
what I mean by like the highs are highs and the lows are lows. Like whenever I'm whenever I'm losing, I'm always saying like to myself while I'm streaming, I'm like, I know this is my fault. Like it's something that's in my head my ability that's not clicking. Like I'm doing something wrong. There's nothing the game's doing wrong.
Yeah.
The game itself is fine.
And once you recognize that,
the sound design is beautiful and it works. The sound works, and I just have to I have to catch my own mistakes and figure it out. And also like.
Is really good at showing puzzles to you.
Yes.
It's like Dark Souls, it has puzzles for combat to move around to get somewhere to do what you need to do. But Sekiro is very good of going puzzle, and you go, oh, I'm in puzzle mode. Figure this out. Then we get the fight. It just clicked with me, and not that Sekiro is easy, because it's not.
No, it's not.
But
easy
I found it much easier than playing a Souls.
For me, it's the opposite. Like Elden Ring is a lot easier than Sekiro. But like I said, I'm facing two different play styles that I naturally avoided, which is pairing and stealth. Those are the two things I just always avoided. So this is kind of like I've told my husband before, because he loves this game, and I was telling him that this is like me trying to like face those like those uncomfortable play styles, and unfortunately, like I have this resistant nature where it's like, I don't want to do it, but I have to force myself.
Do as you're told, for fuck.
Do as you're told, woman. Don't be woke.
It took a lot of stress out of me when I'm playing that game, because I'm like, the game teaches you quite soon that you can't run around, go in and just dodge out scot-free. The game told me like, no, sit the fuck down, do it like this. And I'm like, oh, I don't even have to think about how I do any of this other stuff that you would in like Souls 3 or something.
There's a lot of like, anytime I mess up because I didn't listen to the game again, it's like me going like, God damn it!
I want to do it this way, but then the fun zone is right in that thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
where
you gotta get it. You gotta
exactly
get that
how
zone.
you want. There is room to like be creative in that space, but it's like, here's the zone.
You know
the Goldilocks
it's so
zone.
rude is you run, you like the running and the movement is just so fluid. Like you feel like a little ninja in it too.
Traversal is dope, but then when you get in a fight, it's not that
and
anymore.
It
Yeah.
sucks. Like if anything, like I'll just go complain about that. It's like I want to run more. I like watching him run. It's such a goofy thing, but I've gone on enough about Sekiro, and we're hitting 3 hours. So
Yeah,
you
we
guys
should probably close this up.
Is there any other thing we want to mention? Well, we could mention Ghost of Tsushima before we go, since it's on at least.
Yeah, we can like just rally off the last two things. WoW Classic, Cataclysm, they've announced their date. I suspect that probably won't go very well because most people wanted Classic because Cataclysm kind of changed the state of the game and people wanted it how it was before Cataclysm. Who knows?
Yeah, that seems like an antithesis, doesn't it? Oh, it's Classic. No, it's Cataclysm.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
That's why we wanted Classic.
Yeah, exactly. So they were unhappy with retail. Blizzard and NetEase have kissed and made up, which I thought was hilarious because when they broke up, NetEase destroyed the Warcraft statue that they had outside of their offices. That's how pissed off they were with Blizzard. But they've since made up, so now you can buy Blizzard games in China once again, which the Chinese are obviously very, very happy about.
And the concrete companies over there will now get a large order for a
brand new statue. Yeah. Then there was the announcement for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The first one, it came out to a rocky reception because it wasn't very optimized and it kind of put people off. But then it built quite a following after fixing it.
No, it was built ready to be ready for the next gen coming after this, and people were like, "I've got a good PC. I'm gonna turn this all up to max," and their PCs were not ready for it.
Right.
Like it's like it was in the game. I should be able to do it, but they were like, "No, this game is pretty. And we want it to be pretty for the next gen." Like our current cards that people are probably playing it on now, it runs beautifully on those with the higher thing, and I think people were maybe like
jumping the gun a bit.
Their eyes were bigger than their belly, kind of deal.
Fair. Nonetheless, they cited performance issues, but it ended up like thriving after that initial launch anyway. Loads of people like
really
it.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's
like
really cool.
It's if you're into the whole
combat is the weakest part.
Is that because you don't like that it's too realistic, or you don't think it's realistic enough?
I mean, I don't think it is remotely realistic at all, but it's fine. It's something you get through because the rest of the game is really wide, and you basically have all this freedom to live your life as a medieval peasant if you want to.
Yeah.
Which I think it's very good.
I remember that game now.
They did cite, the combat is realistic, and I'm like, no, you've just made it janky difficult. Like to say it's a simulation, it's fine. It's certainly better than The Witcher's 1 combat.
Right. Which isn't hard to beat.
No. Stickman is better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So for Deliverance Enjoyers, Deliverance 2 has been announced. Gigantic, the game that I used to thoroughly enjoy and murdered the hell out of people in-game, to clarify, is back. Apparently it's a wee bit jank, though, in terms of server and lag. Are you off your NDA now? Can you briefly touch on that? Peachy?
I don't know, so no.
Fair. Lawbreakers. Sorry, go on. Do you not know
I would
if
say
your
how
NDA
it
still in
is
place?
now
Right.
is still what I would expect.
Right.
But move on just in case.
Yeah. If you liked Gigantic, I did. You can revisit it. It's now available back on Steam and whatnot. Lawbreakers is back. Community project.
It's not back, Brian. Don't. It's not back.
It is back. It's back.
Not back.
It is back. It's
fucking
back.
You clickbait piece of shit.
No, Cliffy B has said it's back, and if Cliffy B says Lawbreakers is back, then it must be back. But no, it's a fan project. They've got a Discord. Go check out. This is Cliffy B on Twitter, and he's got a link to the Discord where you can organize access and stuff like that. But basically, it seems to be that Nexon have either not noticed it yet or have given their blessing for the assets to be used.
Certainly noticed it now.
Yeah. Either way, it's playable in a state where it can be tested, and it looks like they're going to try and bring it back in some way or form. Hades 2 technical test is now available. It is not guaranteed, but if you go on Steam on the Hades 2 page, you can request access, and potentially get an email that says, yeah, you can play it, and you can just play it, which I think is really, really cool. There's been no marketing bullshit. They literally have just gone, we're confident in our game. This is what it looks like so far. Play it. Let us know what you think. Give us feedback. I'm looking forward to playing that because I loved Hades 1. Then there's Ubisofting. They are basically just charging extortionate amount of money for the various pre-orders that you can get. So, for example, the base game is your usual like $70 or £60. And then if you double that, you get like 3 days early access. You get a season pass, but they don't tell you what's in the season pass. You get some cosmetics. I think there's even quests locked behind stuff as well. Oh. Yeah, like there's a Jabba the Hutt quest that's locked behind the DLC. Like you do get to interact with Jabba the Hutt a little bit.
That article was that I ignored because I'm actually interested in the game.
Yeah, so
was,
yeah. So like you get to talk to him a bit, but the main like chunk of the quests are actually paid DLC, unfortunately. And then Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PC, the director's cut. And if you have loads of PlayStation friends, the PSN account is actually going to have like some cross-platform features. So you get your trophies and stuff like that. You get to play with your PlayStation
I'm
friends.
interested to see what they're doing with that because I think there was a DLC that was multiplayer. Because aside from that, I don't see any other integration.
No idea. Either all I know is that you can see your trophies and presumably still unlock them technically, and it will go towards your PlayStation account, which I think is cool. I don't give a fuck about trophies, but I know people do.
We got 1 and 2. People wanted Ghost of Tsushima and Bloodborne on PC, and they got Ghost of Tsushima, which is it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fucking game.
Very beautiful game. But that's gonna be it from us. So let's do shout outs, Paul.
Well, hello. I'm Pulp Fictionally. You can find me on all social media under Pulp Fictionally, except for Twitter, where someone stole my name. I'm Plot Fictionally there. Former Instagram model turned variety streamer. I forgot to mention that. Currently, I've been streaming almost every day. I've been playing Sekiro, like I said, during the week. And this weekend, I'm going to take it easy and play some Fallout New Vegas, probably in about an hour or two after I eat. And yeah, I've been having fun with all of that and hanging out with you guys again. It's been great. Peachy.
Hi, my name's Peachy Pixelate. I stream. At the moment I'm playing some City Skylines and Project Zomboids. And if you like Warhammer, I also make Warhammer content over on YouTube. It's Peachy Pixelate over there as well. And my alerts are going. Someone's just tipped me with an amusing thing that I'm not going to repeat. Where was I? Brian. I think I said everything.
That's fair. Hello, my name is Brian the Pirate. You can find me on pretty much any other social media platform as well as Twitch as Brian the Pirate. I predominantly play action RPGs. I will probably be playing some more Path of Exile 2 tomorrow. Path of Exile 1 rather. Maybe a little bit more of No Rest for the Wicked. I'm currently doing a review video, so if you want to check that out, it will be on YouTube in the next couple of days. Otherwise, huge shout outs to my co-hosts as usual for a hilarious and wonderful show. Thank you all very much for watching. Farewell. We'll remember you.
I won't.
He won't.